Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. Yeah, we're calling this the Devil's Advocate episode, and you will find out why soon. But yes, as you can see, I am not currently joined by the slanderous one. Not just yet. I'm not joined by the man who's going to be out here talking all that ish. And yes, that's all we can do because then Twitter algorithms is a little dangerous. But yes, I am joined by one of the community's greats. And I will introduce him first. I'm sure the slanderous one will be joining us very soon. He's making it a little bit late. You know them divas. They like to show up a little late. You know how it goes. But yes, let me introduce this man. You have seen him in the Twitter streets, probably in your DMs or in the chats. This man is out here representing us very well every week on a week-to-week basis. You know, he's the one that's out here enjoying the shows and also promoting and letting y'all know you ain't doing ish, so why don't you join us? Mr. GREAT Mack is in the building. Thank you, good sir, for being here. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Mr. K. Truly appreciate this, man. It's like I'm living a dream right now. I know a lot of you guys don't see it as something as big as I do, but dude, I'm so excited right now, and I guess I can say equally as nervous, but hey, I'm here to have a good time. Let's go.
Bro, I don't know why you would be nervous. We chat all the time, and you used to do spaces. Like you know how this goes, right? We communicate. The only difference is on spaces. On spaces you get a lot of rowdiness and whatnot. Here we just brothers having a chat about games, bro. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
Nobody's even watching. There ain't like 22 people, 25. It's climbing. But don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about that. We're just here having a good time. For those asking, Mr. EverbornSaga will be joining us soon. He's running a little bit late. You know, as I said, you know how them divas do. You know, it is what it is. Though. But before we even get started full force, let me do some quick housekeeping notes. Thank you everybody for your continued support. We're seeing a lot of growth on the podcast apps and whatnot. You know, people choose to listen to this later on their commute or whatnot. We try to keep it PG-13 so you can listen to it with your kids. It seems like the numbers are growing exponentially on that front. We appreciate it. Oh, there's so many people in the chat I need to thank already. The team has pulled up already. Before we even get started, let's get to some of these. The team is already pulled up. First and foremost, we have Mr. Joanna Dark in here early with the super chat. $5 super chat saying, "Good morning, gentlemen. Salute and congratulations to GREAT Mack for his podcast debut. Sonic will double flop and the budget regardless."
Wow.
I say it, Joanna Dark. Save that slander when the slanderous one shows up.
Like,
it'll hurt you a bit more.
Let him get here.
And he also leaves another $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. Your support is too much, brother. He says, "Everborn, before you celebrate Sonic Frontier and its success, anything above 0.01 cent in Sonic's eye is success with Sonic. Low bar." Damn. And of course, yes, Mario's back.
That boy punching hard early.
Right? They out
early.
Here. They punching.
They punching hard.
You know? And we have Black Cade in here, Bunty's in here. John Wolf is in it. Oh, even the man. Double Barrel Gaming's own Mr. Boomstick is in here. Shout
out to Mr. Boomstick, the hardest working man in content creation, bro.
Darn right.
That's James Brown, bro.
I want to see the slick hair, you know what
man.
and not to be outdone, Mr. Joanna Dark, he's just throwing it on the screen this morning. Another $5 super chat. He's doing one of these things, right?
Yeah.
He says, "Hello, GREAT Mack. Congratulations on the podcast debut. Make sure you let Everborn know this Sonic is a terrible blue rat." Oh my God, man. This man is he's here for blood this morning.
I'm not trying to create no enemies this morning.
Oh, don't worry. We have to put him in his place. You know what I'm saying? Like the slanderous one needs to be dropped down a peg from time to time. It's necessary.
My guy is super confident, and it's nothing.
wrong with that, and let's be clear here. I keep saying we're gonna have the reckoning. We haven't done that. It may happen sooner rather than later. But let's be absolutely a buck about it. I also I want the franchise to succeed, right?
Yeah,
I wanted to. There's a lot of Sonic playing in my house.
But Everborn, he has that that low key agenda with Sega. He wanted it to do good, but you can fail if you want to. So
so the big man can come and swoop in and save you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay, so let's see. There's still so many people in the chat. We're having a great time this morning. Thank you guys so much for being here. You know, as I said, lots of stuff going on in the background, lots of things going on with the channel, trying to do some upgrades and this and that. So if there's anything you guys want to see more of, anything you want to see less of, you know, the DMs and the comments are open. Always communicate with us. I read every single one. I try to reply back to every single one. For instance, Gerald was talking this morning about how the music in the background is real. He's really appreciating that. And I said, hey, that was a customer feedback, right? That's somebody in the community was like, hey man, you know, I like it when you have that mood music in the background. I'm like, okay, you know, so that's what we're doing here.
The levels are awesome.
People have been appreciating the intro music, which shout out to the man, the Wandering Dutch. He provided that amazing music for us, right? And
really?
Yes, he provided that. He did the intro. He did the whole thing. He did it with the music. And this is for me to the community. If you know anybody who's ready and willing to drop a couple bars, man, I feel like that intro needs some bars on it. I'm still working in the background to get that repaired.
Yeah, bro.
If you know somebody and their skills is up to par, let me know. We will hand them we'll hand them the pencil and see if he can do something interesting with it. But we really appreciate everybody being here.
Game related on the sort of like your boy Dallas, that guy,
Absolutely.
dude. The intro for ILP, dude, that is staying in my brain.
Hey man, they are giants, and we are walking on the shoulders of giants right now. So shout out to the ILP. Oh my goodness,
all hail to ILP.
Like, see, and you say you are excited to be here. I am excited because we have some great people in the chat. I see Luke Law, the insipid ghost himself for the Xbox expansion passes in the building. Thank you so much for pulling up, good sir.
Welcome.
Oh, and if you're not checking out his stuff, it's amazing. Always has great interviews. Part of the weekly rotation for me. You know, him, Mr. Badbit, you know, a few of the other folks in the community, always doing such great work. So whenever they pull up here, I feel honored. So I appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you so much. But you know what? Let us get started. And we'll kick it to high gear. We'll get started with some light conversation. You know how we do. And let's kick it into some games that we have been playing. Let me switch to the games here now. Mm-hmm. Thank you all for being here. I will start with you, sir, as you are our guest. And real quick, for those who aren't aware, if you see on the screen, this is the demo for Planet of Lana, a game that's coming to Xbox soon in Xbox Game Pass. Also happened to have a demo on FanFest. Is it FanFest? Yeah, I think it's FanFest. Next Fest, forgive me. It's the Next Fest, which is a Steam, PC Steam kind of event they have where they let a lot of demos out and people play them. I think when they do that, they also put it onto consoles as well. So you might see it on a console somewhere. But right now, this is where I played it. So this is just a few minutes footage of Planet of Lana for your viewing pleasure. But Gerald Mack, what game, and I think I know what game we're about to talk about, but I'll still ask anyway. What game has been keeping you busy for 18 hours and 56 minutes?
Dude, Hogwarts Legacy, bro. I've been playing that game. You know, and like I said, I think I caught you guys were talking about it in one of your podcasts earlier this week or last week or something. I was like, guys, please stop promoting this game. The FOMO was getting to me. Mm-hmm. I couldn't resist, so I went home and pulled the trigger. And again, I didn't have any. I've never seen a Harry Potter movie. I don't understand the lore or anything. But the game, bro. I mean, if this is what they call masterpieces,
speak on it, sir. Speak on it.
It's really close because again, I didn't know you can go into a game from a franchise and not have any idea what the lore was and be this excited to play. You know, I got a lot of friends who play the Warzone all the time, Call of Duty Warzone, and I get 50 invites while I'm playing Hogwarts. I'm like, bro, I'm not getting off of this game right now. All of the spells in the game are just incredible. I think I just unlocked the Pulso, I think it's called, and Glacius or something like that. So the one where you can throw them away and the other one where you can freeze them. So
So okay,
I'm
you
locking
just so
in.
you know, you are further along than I am, good sir.
Oh,
so
well,
so yes,
I'm not
yes,
gonna say nothing.
yes.
I'm not
Well,
gonna say
okay, and real quick, just so you guys know, as you know, we're growing and all of that. So I will now add in the slanderous when he has joined us. It will make our screen go a little crazy for a little bit, but we're gonna correct that. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcoming in Mr. EverbornSaga, who's gonna totally ruin my cam, but then I will quickly shift it to the 3 cam shot, and of course it ruins things, but I will still do it anyway. Keep going there, Gerald Mack. I'll correct the record. I'll keep going. Yes.
Again, just with the with that game, it's like I've heard a couple of people reference it as such. It's like a fighting game almost. You know,
the fighting style, the style
with the combo. Yeah, the combo fighting act is it's amazing, bro. Who was it? I think I heard somebody, Daniel McGee, I think it was.
Yes, sir.
On
yes,
Mr.
Sir.
Boomstick show, talk about like he didn't like the flying around on the broom. I'm loving it. You know, I am loving that game, dude.
Okay.
The fact that it's so beautiful. It's like a living picture. Wherever you go, the mushrooms are dancing, the flowers are honking. It's insane.
And by the way, and I'm kind of being a little self-serving here, but everybody will understand when we get there, right? Welcome, Mr. EverbornSaga. Mic check. You good?
Am I good?
Yes. You sound
Yes, sir.
good. You sound good. You sound good.
right.
Yes. Welcome. He hasn't been he's been a bit under the weather, so I appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I tried to come in after you finished this Hogwarts talk.
Nah, we're
Come
gonna
on,
make
bro.
sure you here
No,
for
no,
this.
no,
We're gonna
no,
make sure you here for
you,
this. man.
you got to get in on this, bro.
Well,
You
but
got to get
this
in on
is the reason why I'm being self-serving, okay? Because Gerald Mack, tell us your experience before you played this game. Like you don't know, you're not a Harry Potter person, right? Before you played this game, what is your experience with the Hogwarts thing? Go ahead.
Dude, I never knew what a Hogwarts was. I have
No movies, no books, nothing.
nothing. Nothing. And when I started playing the game, I was like, well, where did all of the controversy come from? Because as far as representation for people that look like us,
Talk about the
It's
fade, homie.
in-
Talk about the fade. The fade,
dude,
baby.
the fade, I got that.
Yeah, I gotta get my
good
fade
afro.
today. I gotta get
got
mine
that
done
good-
today. Yes.
I'm rocking that good afro in that thing, man, and I can't speak enough for the game. So if there's anybody out there who's on the fence, Everborn,
Oh.
go on and jump over. Go on and
So
jump over.
here's the thing that I've only said offline, which I'll say.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But because Gerald Mack is here, our esteemed gentleman guest.
Indeed.
So
sir.
you're hearing this for the first time in public, J Mack.
Yes, sir.
When Elden Ring came out last year, that is literally the only game I played for 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play anything else, right? Maybe 200 and whatever hours. I stopped counting, right? I can go check the stats or whatever.
Right.
Now, the more I hear about Hogwarts Legacy, the more I feel like it's going to be another one of those. And with
Oh,
a
it will
year
be.
like 2023, to that I have to say, ain't nobody got time for that, right? Because this year, right, I completed Deathloop at the top of the year, and then I went on to Ragnarok, and then I went on the Hi-Fi Rush, and this week I just beat Dead Space, and I started Callisto Protocol last night. And if I'm playing a game like the way you guys are talking about it, like it's digital crack, then I'm just gonna miss all those games, and they're gonna end up in the abyss that is called a backlog. So maybe for me, I've been actively avoiding it because it's a victim of its own success.
Well,
I
okay,
can't
two
do another
things
Elden
real
Ring.
quick. Two things real quick. Thing number one, first and foremost, let me take
I have to
let me
complete a game when I
pause.
start it, right?
Let-
I'm not
let
a
me-
grazer like Mr. KSI.
Hold on.
Man,
Let
me,
me,
I
let me,
am a
let me pause the
grazer.
conversation for a moment and welcome the man, Dirk Griggity. Great guest of our show a couple weeks ago. We appreciate him being here. Thank you so much.
Salute,
He
Dirk.
said,
What's
what up,
going on,
fellas?
bro?
Shout out to the homie Gerald Mack. Good to see y'all. Thank you so much for
Yes,
pulling
yes.
up. Thank you for
Appreciate it,
being
bro.
here. That's thing one. Thing two, I will say Lucius Augustus is also in here saying completionists of Hogwarts Legacy is like 70 to 90 hours. It's not 200 hours like Elden Ring. And third, before I will let you continue this conversation, sir, the reason why we are throwing so much slander your way is because instead of just being honest about it and saying, look, it's intimidating to me, you call it a poor man's Tolkien.
Wait a minute. Harry Potter is a trash franchise.
We weren't talking about that. We were talking about it. We were talking about
my poor man's Tolkien, it was in reference to the lore of Harry Potter, which is just not good.
Sure. But the reason you don't want to play this has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that you are intimidated. Be honest.
No, that's not true.
Scared of the addiction.
He's scared of the addiction. He just admitted it 5 minutes ago.
You are doing like the news media this week where you just see a little morsel or something.
Oh, yeah.
You don't look at context. You don't verify.
We here for the clicks, baby. We here for the clicks.
Okay. So here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I was never interested in anything I saw about Harry Potter from when they first unveiled it. Mm-hmm. I have no nostalgia with the franchise. Mm-hmm. So you were not going to get me into this game unless it was for all the praise of the people in the community who again sing its praises, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only right. That is the only thing that got me interested in the first place. So when I was talking about it in the beginning, I said I told the truth. This doesn't interest me in any way. And Harry Potter is a poor man's Tolkien. So now I was never on board with any of that
Harry
boycott
Potter fans
stuff.
Right now. Triggering them Harry Potter fans.
You like the trash franchise. I don't know what you want me to tell them. Right? So
the views of EverbornSaga do not reflect the GCP as a whole.
So the point is, you know, I legitimately wasn't interested in it, but hearing all the praise, I'm like, wow, this sounds like another No Lifer. So even though, again, the franchise is trash, the game seems like it is not hampered down by those garbage movies. So have you seen Fantastic Beasts? Have you seen Secrets of Dumbledore?
I've seen all of them,
They're
and
terrible.
I don't disagree with you about your assessment of the games. I will not.
So my point is,
I will not.
The franchise doesn't help it, but these game developers sound like they made a great game. I just can't do it right now. If I'm gonna put 100 hours,
the truth comes out, ladies and gentlemen.
Any game this year, it will be first Tears of the Kingdom, and then it will be Starfield. I can't do 300-hour games this year. This is not going to happen.
Well, again, to Lucius Augustus's point, even completionist runs are about 90 max, not 200.
Here's the thing. Wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Just one thing. I sip my games like a fine wine.
Like a fine wine. Yes. Absolutely.
So
as do I.
How long does it take to beat Dead Space?
Oh, like was it 8-9 hours? I thought.
About 10 maybe.
8 or 9 hours. Mm-hmm, Let me tell you how long it took EverbornSaga to complete Dead Space Remake. So that would be, and I quote, 27 hours and 23 minutes.
27 hours to complete.
So a normal person might be 70 or 80. Me, that's going to translate to 150 200 hours.
And Luke from the expansion pass, which I'm still getting a kick out of that he's in the chat. Salute, good sir. He says a completionist run of Dead Space is about 15 to 18 hours.
Wow, you be sipping, bro.
But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I die a lot.
I sip it as well, you know. Yeah, and you die a lot.
I do have a confession to make about Dead Space. When we get, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Did we talk about what we're playing right now?
Oh, no. I'm just waiting for Gerald to finish up. We can hit you next.
Gerald, you go ahead and then I'll talk about Dead Space.
Again, back to Hogwarts. Beautiful game. It's equally as fun as it is beautiful, in other words. And the story so far is pretty good. But, you know, you unlock so many side quests while you playing the game to where you kind of get lost in the story until you go back to it. Unless you just mainline, you can kind of get a gist of what it is. But I looked at my quest list and I had maybe 15 quests, bro, and 2 main stories. So I got to knock some of this down. but in doing so, it really makes your character like pretty effing powerful,
Yeah,
bro. Like
it
once you
beats
start
you. Yes,
unlocking
yes,
those,
sir.
yeah, I'm
Yes.
like, so when you get to those boss fights or when you're fighting multiple enemies and stuff like that, it really helps out when you
So
can
what you're
just
saying
swap
is,
out different.
in order for you to progress the story and really do well, you should take care of all the side quests first.
Yeah, I would get
Interesting.
as
Okay.
many of the perks and
Hmm.
the powers that you can because you're gonna need them.
Yeah.
You're gonna need them, because
It's like
it's funny,
farming in Elden Ring.
and it's
You gotta
funny when
level
you
yourself up.
yeah, exactly. When you pull up the character screen, it puts me in the mind of like a Destiny where you got all the different gear and the color scheme on the different gear, and some gears legendary with added stuff, and so it's pretty good when it comes to that, and the customization is beautiful. I love how the fabric looks like fabric. If it's clothy, it looks clothy. If
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
silky, it looks silky. They
And the
did a
black
good.
hair looks like black hair.
Hey,
Oh,
hey,
speak on it, brother. Speak on it.
looks like what's under this hat right now. I just smiled. I was so happy. I said they finally got it
Yeah.
right. I think you said something about their second to what is that, Forbidden West, and their representation of
Yeah,
my skin color.
no doubt, no
So,
doubt, absolutely. Ooh,
it's pretty good. They did a
real
really
quick,
really good
once
job.
again, we have the chat getting involved, and of course, I already gave him his. We always throw flowers at this man every time we start bumping in this morning. But we have the Wandering Dutch in the chat. Salute, good sir, the man who creates the sound and the visuals that start us off right. He's asking,
Banging, bro.
he is asking myself and EverbornSaga. We are both cordially invited to take part in hashtag CIS 2023. Are we down? Heck yeah, we're down. And for those who don't know, CIS 2023 is the gaming community, driven by Mr. Wandering Dutch, the gaming community showcase of all the indies and otherwise that are gonna be blowing up this year, right? Last time he did it, we saw games like Flintlock show up. You didn't know what it was until it showed up someplace else, right? He always has a lot to show people, and this year's gonna be no different. I think Aaron Greenberg took part last year. It is super exciting to, we here at the show in various places, we like to complain that, I myself call it the Keeleys. I don't call it the Game Awards because I feel like it doesn't represent the community as a whole, right? So instead of complaining about it, right, the Dutch man has started one of his own, and it's not called
Which is
the
why.
Dutchies.
Well,
Yes,
I was
sir.
gonna say we should call it the Duchess.
No, because it's not. He's making something for the community, right? So something that everybody can hold on to, and I appreciate
hear you, man.
that. You know
But
what I'm
the
saying?
man's putting in the work. You
True.
should put his stamp on it.
Hey, man.
I approve calling it the Duchess.
All right, we'll call it the Dutchies. It is what it is.
The Dutchies, bro. Yes, the Dutchies.
We are here for the
Winner.
Dutchies 2023. We're gonna represent. Thank you, Dutch, for the invite for sure. Hit us in the
Dutchies, bro.
DMs.
That's what's
I
up.
know I'm down for sure. So let's get back to what you were saying. So
And-
is this a game that you will eventually? Do you see yourself going all the way through to the end, or do you see yourself falling off, or what's it?
You know what? Again, I'm a grazer, so I'm gonna preference my statement, but I'm a grazer, so I may
Salute to the
finish it.
grazers.
I do like it enough to finish it, but I also know, like Everborn says, there's so much stuff coming this year that's something.
Atomic Heart is about to be on your head.
Bro, that's why I finished. Hi-Fi Rush yesterday. I'm like, I can't sip this no more. It's got to go. There's too many. Another space in the backlog must come.
If Atomic Heart comes out, and I have to be honest, I'm not a Souls guy. If it comes out and it's on some Souls-ish, you can keep that Souls-ish.
I mean,
It's
are you
beautiful.
a
I'll watch it.
BioShock person? Have you ever played the BioShock
I
games?
like BioShock. That was really good. I
It
like
seems
those.
to be pulling a lot from that. I don't know how the combat's looking though. The combat does look like it gets complicated for sure, no doubt.
Yeah,
But I feel
yeah.
like it's pulling more from BioShock than it is necessarily from the Souls. Now, Lies of P, total Souls game.
That's
Like, you can
yeah,
see
that's
it, right?
Bloodborne, right?
Yeah, that's very Bloodborne-like, absolutely. But I'm not sure how it will play as far as Atomic Heart will in that Souls-like. I think it might be more BioShock-like, which excites me because I think
Yeah.
BioShock Trilogy is a great franchise.
That was the first BioShock was
Yeah.
masterpiece. They did a
Absolutely.
really good job with that. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Them
yeah.
Big Daddies was some scary.
There's some scary stuff. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So is that everything you've been playing this week?
That, and also I've been playing a lot of Warzone. My friends finally got me into that thing, and man, I'm loving it too. So those are the two that I've been playing, and I think I probably got over 200 games, but those are the only two that I've been playing, bro. So
absolutely, that's great, bro. That's great. Now,
Grazing, just not going out far. Just I'm staying close.
Hey, I'm a grazer like you, sir. Like, and we won't spend too much time on it. Real quick, what you're seeing on the screen right now, in addition to Planet of Lana, which I had a little bit of footage on, the demo wasn't that long. But I also, what you're looking at right now is the demo of Like a Dragon, Inchi, right? Yeah, I think I spent.
Another one I'm copping this week.
Like just the fight demo, like that's all it is. You get access to
a
few.
It's just the fight demo.
Yeah, what you're seeing here is just the fight demo that came out. You get access to a few different levels where you can totally like check it out. Man, this game is interesting. Although what do they call that $10 word? The ludonarrative dissonance is a little bit off, where you could just like unload mad bullets into people and they just get up and keep walking. All it does is just like drop their health down just a teeny tiny bit. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, a gun is a gun. It should be a gun in this game, but you know,
the swords are more powerful than the guns.
The swords are more powerful than the guns. You know what I mean? But it's cool.
You know,
like go ahead, man.
As a screenwriter, I took a screenwriting course, and they say, you know, why do people still use knives and swords in movies? And they say because a sword is more interesting than a gun.
True. See, my thing is, if that's the case, then don't make it a gun. Make it like throwing like knives or something, you know? But if you make it a gun and all it does is take a teeny tiny bit of my health, I'm just like, come on, player, you know? It breaks the immersion.
That's going to make your brain say, huh?
Exactly. But not to be outdone though, if you see how they make this work, and the beginning of the demo I was just figuring my way out. They don't really give you much in the way of instruction. They just say go, so I was figuring it out as I go. See those things on the screen there? You can switch styles on the fly, and when you do, it becomes like John Wick with a gun and a sword at the same time. He's spinning and he's shooting and it is very special. If only the guns had more potency, I think that would work, but yeah. But no, it is a very, very cool game. So yes, you'll check out this demo that I've been playing, and of course
Sega.
I've been going through. Yes, and it is Sega. Yes, it is indeed. It is. And then as I just said, I just finished Hi-Fi Rush. I'm late to the party. I took my time with that game. I'm a musician in the form of life.
Oh, yes.
How fantastic is that game,
bro? That game,
Hi-Fi
especially
Rush.
at the end, and everyone said this to me, and I was always like, it's a little hyperbole, but now I got to the end as well, and I'm just like, yep, I agree. It doesn't matter where your review score starts. At the end, you'll almost double it, because it is just so good.
Oh, wow.
It is just so good. The fights, they know how to do a boss fight right. Like, oh, man, it is epic in scope and scale. You know, they don't fall into the ridiculous tropes that some of the stuff falls into. When you're done, you want a TV show. Like, look how many bullets I unloaded into these people.
I'm like, this dude is blasting away right now.
And of course, the bullets have no end. Right? You could like shoot bullets for 50 years. Like, it's just, I'm just like, really?
so the bullets are like combo hits.
Exactly. No, but okay, real quick to finish off Hi-Fi Rush, like when I was done, all I needed was a TV show, a movie, DLC, something. Keep it going, baby. Somebody
needs to be on the phone with Netflix for an anime for that.
And then somebody in my DM, somebody on Twitter, and I forgot the person's name, otherwise I'd give him a shout out. He came up with a brilliant idea. How about screw Netflix and all of that? How about you however you get it made, maybe through Netflix, right? But then you also put it on Game Pass as a perk.
Yeah.
And that's how you add more to it.
I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree.
Okay, well, he brought that up, and I thought, hey, that is an interesting idea to add more value to that service if it ever decides to go beyond games. What an interesting concept, right? But we do definitely need more material in that world, in that universe. I think.
A hip hop version of that game.
That's what
awesome.
me and Kay been talking about.
Yeah, dude, they do that.
We've been talking to Cognito, be like, give us You know, give us the East versus the West. I don't know. Give us something.
Yeah,
You know, that would be
yeah,
something
yeah,
else. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
A
I
hip
need
hop
some
version of that
Wu-Tang in
game.
there.
You
Hit me with
already
some
know.
Wu-Tang. That's right.
That
Hit me with
would
some
be the
Wu-Tang.
new Def Jam, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
so-
Indeed.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, man.
at the beginning of the week, I'm gonna riff off of your Hi-Fi Rush thing because
Please.
that's what I beat.
Yeah,
I completed that at the beginning of last week. I think I completed it right after the show we did last week. But the game, there's so much like life. There's so much energy in that game, and there's even this emotional beat in the end where Chai has to realize that like he's not like a bumbling idiot and things like that. And the way that music played and him kind of believing in himself and things like that, like it hit a certain emotional level that
Pitch
like
perfect, bro.
you just don't
Pitch
really
perfect.
see.
Yes.
You don't see that kind of, and I know it's like it's funny, it's a comedy, it's an anime or whatever, but like it, and I mean this in a good way. This is a compliment. It almost it doesn't feel like an Xbox game. It feels like a Sony game.
Oh
Like,
no! Don't do that.
No, not in that it's good or bad. I'm just saying the level of storytelling.
No, I get it. I know exactly what you mean. But remember, and most people don't know this. I was on Crossfire last night, and it got a little crossfirey. So yeah, don't give anybody ammunition, sir. Just don't do that.
Yeah, right.
I have to go back and listen to that. I saw you.
Oh, it got crossfirey, man. It got crossfire.
You know, we've gotten to the point that people are following flight patterns, bro. So you can't give them nothing. They follow flight patterns, and
it is what it is.
Well, I actually want to talk about that later because the media is something. Anyway, but my point is, the reason I say it's like a Sony game is in that the story that they're telling would translate so well, and they're telling a story that is like that transcends just being a video game, right? And in doing that, this is why I just think it's great that this is in the Xbox ecosystem, and I really hope that we get to see a lot more of things like this, because again, this is not about like saying Xbox doesn't have quality games, but it is Sony. I don't think anyone can argue with me when they say Sony's games heavily focus on story, and those stories are kind of like movies. The difference here is not only do you have that like high level storytelling, and again, I know it's a genre, so it's not like a sad dad simulator, but they are doing high level storytelling, but there's also a heavy focus on gameplay.
They threaded the needle perfectly. It looks like they had two teams that dedicated enough time to the story and the world building as they did the gameplay, and it fed each other very well all the way to the end. Absolutely, yes.
See, for me, what it is I think people kind of forget that Tango Gameworks, they're a really accomplished studio, and the game was so far away from what they're known for that it's kind of like, oh, that's them. But you know, they have the cojones to put stuff together like this. It just happened to be so far away from what they do. It's kind of hard. Like those are the Evil Within guys, right? Like, you know,
but you know, they also worked on Devil May Cry, and there's a lot of Devil May Cry DNA in this, right?
Right.
And by the way, we're getting on Xbox another Tango Gameworks joint probably next month.
True.
Right?
True.
Oh, that's that. What is that? What's
with the hand movements?
Yeah,
with
that's the one that went to PlayStation
Tokyo,
first, right?
Tokyo. Tokyo Ghostwire,
Ghostwire,
so I finished that, and I was so like, I must have shared like 35 game clips of that game, just because every minute I'm like, yo, I gotta capture that. I gotta capture that.
When the CTO, when the second in command like gets beastly, you're just like, yo, the game is
oh my
ready.
god,
we
like
ready.
that was and the music and everything, right?
Man.
They literally had you go into a Scrooge McDuck money pit.
Yeah, exactly. You fell into a Scrooge McDuck money pit for sure. Yes.
And the thing is, like, you know, I have not played a game in a very long time that like almost every moment of it just put a smile on my face, right? Whether it was completing a combo to the beat, whether it was a joke that they were telling that landed properly, whether it was a set piece or like these big boss battles, all of it was just done so expertly that I couldn't believe what I was playing, right? And people think that people think it's an exaggeration, but the only people that say that are the people that didn't play
it. Yes.
Right?
You can start off cynical as hell, but by the end, you're a believer for sure. Or you didn't play it.
Right. And a lot of people didn't play it. You got to check receipts on some of these people, right?
You know what? I won't even bother. You do you. You don't want to play the game, that's your problem, right? Some people like Hogwarts, some people don't. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Hey,
it's about playing the game.
Yeah,
exactly. What you did there. So instead of getting Hogwarts, I said
a quick. I'm sorry. We have a super chat in here. I want to address, and I appreciate this man, Randy G, in the chat. Thank you for being here. He said, "K Asante, it hurt listening to Crossfire last night. It's like no one on that panel spoke English. They just wanted to argue stupid points. I appreciate you for listening and watching. I shout out to Mooch for always inviting me. I appreciate him. Yes, I call him the community's Jerry Springer. He puts on his little tie, says, "Oh, I see the Jews here, I see the blacks here. Y'all don't like each other. Let's get them in the show and start some ish." You know, that's what he does. That's what it's called, Crossfire, right? So I appreciate him for being there. Some shows go better than others.
They kept it classy when I was there.
True, they did. True, they did. I suspect it's about the panel matters.
That's because you got to learn how to keep everybody in line, sir.
Oh, I'm not there to keep people in line, man. I'm there to hear their points and share my own. And yesterday it went left a little, but hey, it is what it is.
I haven't heard it yet, so I don't even know who went left. But I'm gonna check it out after this.
I saw that podcast going on last night, and I jumped in for a second. I saw Mooch. I said, "Oh, that's a PS guy. I'm out of here." I didn't know he was in there.
And you know, like I always say on this show, we're gamers here. It's not necessarily about one side or another. I like hearing some of these opinions, right? Without all the ridiculous, slanderous capping and dumb things that goes around it. You want to have a clean debate? I'm there for it. So you know, and usually that's what I get on that show. So it's all good, you know.
Boom, Mr. Boomstick got his start with Mooch, right?
Absolutely, yes he did. You know, great member of the community, been doing it for a long time. Now,
fellow New Yorker,
exactly. Really good guy, Mooch. I really appreciate his invites. He does a great Last of Us review show. Really, really good. People should check it out. I see the Xbox expansion pass. Thank you so much. He's with a $2 super chat saying, "Just showing love, brother. We appreciate it. Thank you so much." And of course, Pixel Bit G's in the chat saying, "What up, live? Thank you so much for being here, man. It's good to see you." Now, before we move on to some of the news at hand today,
we did not get to the games I'm playing, sir.
What did I say? Before we get to the news at hand today, let us, before he so rudely interrupted me, ask Mr. EverbornSaga what games he has been playing and what games he has eliminated from the backlog. Because I know you've been doing the most this week. What's good?
Yeah. So once I completed Hi-Fi Rush, like the next thing that was in my sights is Atomic Heart. But I said, what can I play that I think I can complete before Atomic Heart comes out? So I called you up and I was like, well, what's the time to completion on this game and that game? And you were like, Dead Space is only 8 hours. I mean, lo and behold, it took me 27 hours, but that's neither here nor there.
But it is a shorter game.
But so now I learned some things today. So I called you up while I was playing the game. Very good game, but you can tell it's a remake, like of from the 360 era. Very linear, which is fine. I don't know how I felt about the kind of go here, go back there, go here, go back there, go here, go back there, and it was just like following the waypoint the whole way,
going back and forth.
What'd you say?
Is it more roguelike where you traverse levels that you've been before?
No. Well, you are going back to places you've been, right? But it's just it kind of feels like, okay, go here, install this chip. Oh, that thing broke. Go there, fix that. get that chip, put it here, go find this person, they're dead, right? Like nothing you do works, and then it's just like you're kind of going from point A to point B, and you just follow the way marker because there's no real way to tell kind of where you are without that marker, because everything kind of looks the same. Also, there's only like 4 enemies, right?
4 enemy types?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
but
terrible.
Also kind of like 4 enemies. Not even types, just 4. Maybe I'm like exaggerating, but like it's not more than 7. So
real quick. A panel member being absolutely ridiculous on the show this morning. Gerald Mack with a $10 super chat saying, "Look, Ma, I'm on TV." Salute to the Gaming Circle podcast. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
You see the slander from the mag in the chat?
Where? Oh. Shout out to the mag. He says, "Sounds like tedious as Sonic Frontiers." Oh, brother. Okay, oh, no.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Continue, Everborn. Continue.
So talk about an Xbox expansion pass. You know what real is. It is a lot of that. And then the story itself, I feel like there's not a lot of the story happened before you got there.
Okay.
And I was saying what feels like a more interesting story is what happened to the Ishimura.
Okay.
Right? That's the ship that you're on trying to sort of escape from. And you have these Unitarian, like, religious people that want to do something. I won't spoil it or whatever. But, like, it is very, like, if Event Horizon was a game, this would be it.
Yeah.
And it's great for that.
Movie, right?
Speak on the fact that Isaac, your protagonist, now has a voice. There's like voice acting.
Well, it's not. He doesn't now have a voice for me because I never played the original.
Oh, okay, yeah. He did it in the first one, but now he does. And there are cutscenes specifically for him.
Yeah, I don't know what was in the original and what wasn't. This is my first time experiencing this, and like, it was very good. And I would love to see a prequel game. Now, I heard what I learned today is that there was like an on rails prequel in the PS3 days, and then there is a animated movie or series called Dead Space Downfall or something like that.
Yeah. That may fill certain gaps in.
Right, and that specifically shows the downfall of the Ishimura. So I'm probably gonna watch that when I'm done here. But I really and so Big Papi Mofongo, that shout out to my Dominican brother.
That's right.
I'm gonna guess with that name.
That's right. He said, "Listen to the audio logs, Everborn."
Yeah, I hate games that do that. I don't want to listen to audio logs. I want to
show me, don't tell me.
Show, don't tell. Right? That's the number one rule in storytelling.
Yep.
So I don't know what Dead Space 2 did, but I really would love if they made a new outing as a prequel, or I would love a live action series or a live action movie. It's perfect for it. Like, I love the lore of the world. The story itself is not a lot.
Sam in the chat. Welcome, sir. Appreciate you being here. He says you got to buy a Wii and play Dead Space Extraction. It's the only way. So you got homework, bro.
Maybe that's the
or I mean, you could always just buy the game, dump it, and put it on the old Steam Deck. I'm just saying, let's keep moving.
Yeah, boy.
And Dave Ramos is in
Steam
the chat.
Deck shield, boy.
Woo! Stop it.
All right.
Chilling for that G.
In the chat with a $2 super chat saying sharing that Saturday morning support to you folks. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I completed the game at like 2 a.m. in the morning, which is probably why I'm not feeling well now.
Yeah.
And then when I bought this game, I also bought Callisto Protocol because two $70 games, by the way. But that's allegedly not something that Xbox gamers do.
I was going to ask, have you started the Callisto yet?
I started it last night. Well, technically this morning because it was so late. But
right. Well, I don't figure you have any comparison. ideas this quick, so I'll ask again on the later
Yeah,
show.
I can't. So one thing I will say, it does feel more cinematic, like they're actually telling a story here.
Yeah, that's that one. That's that 150 that got sent over. But go ahead.
But
Big Poppy Mofongo putting you in check. He says, "No, I'm not Dominican, brother. I am Puerto Rican."
Puerto Rico.
excuse me.
Go ahead.
Excuse me.
Nelson Rivera saying, "I'm Dominican." What? Go ahead, man.
No, my wife is Dominican. My whole family's from Jamaica, so shout out to the Caribbean people.
Indeed.
Child.
Shout out to them Indies. Go ahead, man.
So anyway, but
Ooh, man.
just being a few minutes into. Oh, guys, give me 1 second.
No worries. Yeah.
Issues.
And in the meantime, I will say salute to the Mag, the man in here, saying
Yes,
much
sir.
love to the brothers in the great show. For me, Callisto Protocol was a better game. Hey now Everborn.
Was it better looking or a better playing?
I mean, in general, I think that's the sentiment. In the beginning, I thought I heard people were saying that maybe because of the optimization issues and some things just weren't hitting. But by and large, if you look at that game, it looks next level. I mean, I'll let you expound on that, the Mag. But I think that by and large, now that they've had some patches added and stuff, it's a more complete package than the first one. I think, right? I may be wrong because I haven't put the time into Callisto as others have. Let's be real. I'll come out from front and just say it. I tend to not be a scary game guy. What cured me of that was Resident Evil 7, because I happened to play that in VR. And if you ever want to be cured of ever playing scary games again, play that game in VR, and you will never play another scary movie ever again.
Dude, I'm a self-proclaimed proud scaredy cat. I can't do it.
Bro, it was scary, like, because usually games empower you, like the latest Resident Evil, towards the end they empower you and you start like doing things, because games are power fantasies. That's how they always have been. And in Resident Evil 7, it's like you weren't there was no power for you at all. You were scared throughout the whole thing, even as a character, right? You were hiding places, hiding there, even in the game, right?
Hey guys.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, I have to run. I just got a call. The missus got into a car accident. Nobody hurt.
Brother.
But it is the Tesla, so now I have to go see what happened.
Oh, dang.
So I'm gonna go meet her out there. We'll see how this goes. But
salute to you, sir. No worries,
apologies.
man. No
I'll
worries.
let you know what's happening.
No worries.
If
yes.
you guys are still going when I get back, but don't worry.
We're gonna save save that last Devil's Advocate story for the last. Hopefully, you can join us for that. But yeah,
right.
Hope you good, brother. Hope you good. Go for
it. Get to your family, man.
Yeah, take care of family, brother. No worries. So it'll just be us for now. It's all good.
Absolutely.
Man, that is unfortunate. Let me correct you real quick.
Man. I'm glad he quickly put it in no one's hurt.
Brother, that stuff is scary. That is my worst fear, that like I'm doing a show or something and I hear. So real quick, let me tell you. So this happened last year. I'm sitting there on the show, having a good time, enjoying myself, and all of a sudden my wife texts me, and let's be real, like, my wife doesn't text me unless there's something really going down. Yeah, there was a leak in my house, and long story short, what was it, like almost, let's just say, almost half of the price of the house later, we repaired this whole thing. Almost. It was a big situation. Whoa. Yeah. It was a big situation. But yes, shout out to
half the price
hope all
of the
is
house.
well. We'll check in with him and make sure he's good. Yeah, man. Insurances, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yes. So I guess this is gonna be a show about how great Hogwarts is. He escaped. Because now we are about to we are now about to move swiftly into some of the news topics of the week. And first and foremost, of course, we will be talking about Hogwarts Legacy and how people are getting a lot of them Elden Ring vibes from this game. Let me first and foremost ask you, sir, how were you did you ever play Elden Ring?
No.
Okay. Because
Not
a lot of people who aren't Souls guys, like a lot of people who just aren't Souls people in general, like ended up going to play that game because it kind of opened the world up, made lots of differences. Shout out to Mr. Boomstick. He's definitely not a Soulsborne guy, you know, but he was able to jump in and he like,
loved it, right?
Almost beat the game. He's at the last boss, hundreds of hours later, right? You know, it never breached that for you, huh?
No, if you remember, earlier before I even bought Hogwarts, I reached out to you and asked you, was it in the same vein as a Souls game? You're like, oh no, it's not that hard or anything like that. So that was what really made me go ahead and decide to pull the trigger on that.
Yeah.
And I've also been seeing some references that the game that Hogwarts is bigger than Elden Ring, and I'm like, well,
it looks that way. Yes,
that's
it does.
Pretty big game if it's bigger than Elden Ring, because that was one of the things that people really raved about with Elden Ring was the scale.
Absolutely, it has
and,
huge scale.
Yeah, and if this game is anywhere close to that, then I got almost 20 hours in and only 8%. I see now, you know, so I got a lot of work to do. So it is what it is.
So let me ask you real quick on the point of a game like the Soulsborne stuff. What would they have to do to get somebody like you to go, okay, I'll give it a shot? Because, like, for instance, right, Everborn did not want anything to do with Hogwarts, right? But now a lot of us are talking about it. As a gamer, you hear about it. People you trust start expounding its virtues and all that, and then you go, hey, maybe I'll give it a shot. What would get you over that hump?
Game Pass.
Oh, this man over here. Okay, you want to give it a try without the barrier of entry of pain.
Exactly, because if I hate it, dude, if I hate it and I know I spent my money, I'm gonna really hate it. But I mean, even a soft demo or anything, or is there anything? Let me see. Is there anything in Game Pass that I could probably try to see if I say I don't like Souls games because of the extreme difficulty. My frustration levels, go from 0 to 100 really, really quick. So, if there was, I guess I gotta just try a Soulsborne game. Or Bloodborne,
to your point about that, you're soon about to get that opportunity, right? We have Lies of P coming very soon. Yeah, absolutely. So possibly,
I definitely said I was gonna give that a try.
Yeah, so possibly that might be what will give you that attempt. Now, the style of the game looks real good. I don't know how the fight mechanics will grab you, because a lot of people might shake the spot when it starts getting really difficult, because they tend to get really difficult.
I do. I think those really difficult games are what turned me into a grazer. And that was like back in the day with the Ninja Gaiden games, bro.
Oh yeah. I remember those.
Used to drive me nuts. So I was like, I'm gonna just go to something else, because I'm about to throw my controller into my TV or something. So
you about to act like them people who didn't see Star Wars Starfield after the Super Bowl, breaking the TV.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Slanderous stuff.
Crazy. I'm probably one of your oldest guests to adoring your show, so I've been around a long time.
I doubt that. Hashtag
probably
50
not
plus.
The oldest. Yeah, you remember me? Hashtag 50 something. So
we got 50 pluses in here. Yeah, no worries. Go ahead.
I've been around for a long time, bro, and the gaming has changed so much, and to where I look back on it now, I'm like, it almost mirrors the my feels about how I was as a youngster when I was running the streets really, really hard, doing all of that crazy stuff, opposed to now. I get completely out of the way of them streets now. I'm like, oh no, y'all can have that, because it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? As far as even in the streets, people had like a sense of code. Not anymore. It's just no filter anymore. So I'm too old. My twitchies ain't there anymore. So I got to get out of the way. So shout out to the new group of gamers. But
shout out to the new school. I feel you, bro.
Yeah, for real.
All right. So it looks like this game is going to be a no-lifer for many people, right? For me, as Everborn said, we like to sip our games like fine wine, and I happen to also be a grazer, so I tend to, take my time with a game. I will play it for a little bit. Like people see me posting videos of Hi-Fi Rush, and then 5 minutes later, you'll see me posting videos of a picture of like Ragnarok, because I'm like 20 hours or something into Ragnarok.
Right.
I just love. I feel like games are like movies. You don't watch the same type of movie over and over and over again. Sometimes you want a comedy.
Right.
Sometimes you want this. Sometimes you want that. So like depending on where I am and what mood I'm in, I can flip between them little by little. So it's fun. I'm enjoying myself. The problem though is 2023 is shaping up to be one of those times where if you're a grazer, you're gonna have some issues. You're
gonna have some issues. I think about it, I'm like, I'm in trouble this year, bro, because it's so much coming. I mean, I think it's so much coming that they're gonna probably back some of the games that were supposed to be coming this year. I think they're gonna back some of those up to allow all of the games that are supposed to come. It's just
so you as a consumer
crazy.
would be cool with them saying, okay, between first party and third party, we got too much releasing, so maybe we'll stage them out, maybe delay it one or two.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So if you're gonna be mad, you might as well get mad now, because it's going to happen, dude. We only have we have 12 months in a year, and I think somebody said it's like 60 games coming. Dude, that's incredible.
Yo, freaking Slow-Mo. Welcome Slow-Mo Backslap in the chat, just being really slanderous this morning. Pixelbit says you got a couple years on him, and then Slow-Mo's like, y'all went to high school with Frederick Douglass.
Hey, tell him if he goes to check my Hogwarts character, that's my haircut. I got that good Frederick Douglass. Oh my God,
y'all are just terrible, bro. What y'all doing?
Hey, yeah,
Stop the ages, man. Stop it.
Coming from where I'm from, you gotta earn these grades, bro. You gotta earn them. They don't just come. You gotta earn these things.
Yo, you gotta stop me, man. You're getting me to lose the thread right now. You're gonna ruin my show already. He was like, they said, let that be light, and he turned on the switch. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, you already know, but let me dust off them sandals.
All right. So let us move on. Okay, let's move on. I wanted to really have a quick chat because I saw some of these news stories hit the news feeds and whatnot, and I was like, it just made me raise an eyebrow. And people seem to be so focused these days on all the back and forth with Microsoft and the drama and the ABK and this and that. And yeah, maybe towards the end of the show we may tap into that and see if Everborn is able to join us or not. But for now, there are other news stories out there that are kind of eyebrow raising, right? So here's one about Nintendo. Days after they backed Saudi Arabia, like basically took a stake into the company, which we heard that they've been seeding ground a little bit here and there. Now they're doing more and more and more, and I'm just kind of like eyebrow raised. Like, what does this mean? Like, it seems like all these companies, I suspect it could be a money play. Hey, we see they're making money. We want to make sure that we're in there as well, but. I don't know, bro. They seem to be throwing money into gaming a lot these days.
Yeah, I mean, because
Oh my, go ahead. No, please. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
You know what? What I think it is with the ABK thing going on, and that kind of made everybody look into the gaming space and say, damn. They are making big moves over there. And you think about a country like Saudi Arabia, they have an ocean of oil, so they have an ocean of money to spend.
True,
and they figure
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure that we talked about it off air. Once you hit that 100 billion, the addiction kicks in, I guess. So they like, we might as well get in on that. What did they say? They bought like 8% of Nintendo, and
right now
so
They acquired 5.1% stake in the company in May 2022, and now they've raised it to 6.7%. And like, let's see, earlier they upped it to 7%. Like, they're just buying pieces and pieces, little pieces, more and more and more.
And I can't speak on their true interest in gaming, but what I can speak on is their true interest in money. Exactly, because you think about it, they spent their money with Nintendo. Absolute guaranteed bet.
Oh yeah,
Nintendo.
Absolutely.
That's a guaranteed bet. They
are selling you $70 games for your abacus, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody's please charge me more. It is what it is. What are you gonna do?
The safest bet ever.
Yep, absolutely.
Invest in Nintendo. So
Yep.
I'm with it.
And not to be outdone, and he's being funny and slanderous, but it is an interesting point to make. Slow-Mo's out here saying, still waiting on all the boycotts for these companies with Saudi Arabia having a minority ownership. There are lots of people out there who love to clutch their pearls and love to, shake the finger in the air and talk about how, we shouldn't be backing entities that have any realm in bad behavior. This means you should disavow Nintendo altogether, right? Because
Nintendo, Nike, everybody.
So yes,
we're going back to the day one. Everybody's running around with tea leaves covering their stuff.
Stop.
It's just Chris, dude. It's
yes, absolutely. So yeah, it's a very interesting. It's a very interesting time. A very interesting time that I think we're in, where all of this stuff is just hitting the wall, and people are just very much so focused on Microsoft and all the back and forth. And actually, move on to the point of Microsoft, let's talk a little bit about what we heard this week, and that whole thing about Xbox's Game Pass is cannibalizing game sales and blah 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 blah. So let me set the stage real quick, because of course on the show we want to make sure that we establish the ground as quickly and as evenly as we possibly can. This was not them celebrating or promoting that, hey, this is what's happening. This was not a news interview. This was not a situation where somebody asked them a question and they answered it. This was during a fact-finding report that they had to come up with to the various regulatory bodies. I'm not sure if it was CMA or the EU. I think it's one of the two. And they basically were asked to extrapolate what they think Call of Duty would look like in Game Pass, right? And they're using their own historical data, their own first-party historical data, to then extrapolate the idea of, okay, well, this is how things are in ours that we've seen so far, so this is what we think would happen in Game Pass, right, with Call of Duty. And in that, they said that after 12 months, they see a decline in sales, right? That's what they tend to see. And, of course, this is of course, become a real hot button topic, because I think it was 2018. Phil Spencer had come out and said, "Hey, while people were talking about how they were not sure if Game Pass was profitable, he was like, oh, not only is Game Pass profitable, we see games take a good uptick in sales once they enter Game Pass. So now it's kind of like, hey." He said A, and now we see
that didn't age well.
Yeah. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're a consumer. I don't know how closely you pay attention. You're part of us. We're on these Twitter streets. We're in this gaming community, always paying attention. What did this news from the rip, without any kind of, context, how did this grab you?
When I first read it, I was like, I'm a really simple guy, and I look at it like this. If they have a service that's putting in $70 games where all I'm doing is paying for the service, they put the game in and I play it, and I don't have to spend my $70 in order to play it, then it's going to. I'm smart enough or have enough common sense to know that it's gonna probably hurt sales because you're giving it to me for paying into a service. So that's a given. It's gonna hurt. It can't even be any other way. That's what the result is. If you give me a game, if I'm paying a service and you put a $70 game in there, I'm not going to buy it. So that's probably going to hurt sales. But that's common sense. So I don't understand where all of the vitriol and, we got him and that didn't age well.
But that's exactly to your point. I think that may be why people are like that, because when he said that, right, just like your common sense you're saying right now, 100% what you're saying, hey, if you give me like Netflix, if you put a show or a movie into Netflix and I watch it there, I'm not taking my money out and going to buy it in a store. So obviously you will lose sales in that, right? But then Phil was saying, well, we've seen sales go up. So people go, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. That's, I think, where the back and forth came from. Because logic dictates, if you give it to me, I'm not buying it. But he's saying, nah, we're seeing growth in sales.
I mean, and that's, I'm pretty sure that's true too, because one of the big games successes that was in Game Pass was that game Descenders, if you remember.
Yeah, of course. With Mike Rose, his company,
yeah,
as the publisher.
And those guys spoke highly about their game, or about how Game Pass helped them not only by putting more eyes on the game, but also an uptick in sales.
Yeah.
So everything that Phil Spencer said was true, but of course, you got people who are going to nitpick and pull out the stuff that helps them get clicks, or of course, all of it's relevant. So yeah, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, none of us that's in the community work, or well, I can't say none of us do because some of us do, but most of us aren't in those rooms, those back rooms with those guys making those deals. So no one knows what goes on. They may. Of course, they're gonna lose sales, but we don't know what they were compensated in the beginning because of, their compensation may have been because of the sales that they were gonna lose. You know what I'm saying?
So there you go. To that point, where you're going, and let me exactly the line where you're going right now. Let me first and foremost say, and shout out to the homie Slomo Backslap in the chat. He said this yesterday on Crossfire, and he's absolutely right then, and I will reiterate his point now. A game that like the Descenders, and by and large the production, the distribution house that Mike Rose runs tends to be indie studios, right? Indie games and games that need more eyes on it. They don't tend to be AAA budgeted games. So for a game like his, it may be exactly what you need, right? More eyes to do it. And also, to your point, Microsoft will compensate them for the potential loss in sales, right? So, hey, maybe the first 2 weeks you would potentially receive, I don't know, 20, 50,000, 50, 60,000 sales. Just throwing out a number, right? Here is the potential loss in that. Here's a bag to compensate for that, right?
Right.
The reason why this gets even more layered is when they were having this conversation, they were talking about their first party. They weren't talking about third party. They were talking about their first party, because if you think about it, exactly to your point, that bag offsets the potential loss in the short term, right?
Right.
They themselves, as a first party organization, nobody's giving Bethesda extra money because you're putting your Starfield into Game Pass. So that loss will be a loss, right? But to the point of the folks in the chat, and I see folks talking about it in the chat already, it's actually hilarious because they themselves have come to that realization that, hey, we might get $60, $70 from you today. You buy it, you play, you're gone. Or we give you a subscription fee, you buy it, and you're in it forever, right? You will never leave, because every time you're trying to, another game knocks you across the head and you go, hey, man, I need to play that. So right? So maybe your $70 this month for this game might be good for some business models, but for our business model, we can offset that cost and get you to stay in our ecosystem and play more, and we get more money from you in the long run now, right? So I agree with that, right? Now, I've heard others say, and on Crossfire, we have people saying that, well, what it's doing is it's training gamers to not value the price of a game, right? It's training gamers to devalue the idea that a game is worth $70 and you should pay for it, right? Which there is a genuine argument to be made for that. But to that argument, I say Netflix exists, right?
Hello?
Many of these gaming services, these movie services exist. Does this mean that nobody goes to the movies? The movies are definitely going through a transition, right?
Yes, sir.
But that's because they liked that old business model of the only place you can see it is here, right?
Right.
If you want to keep that, this will change. But how are they counteracting it? They're doing bigger budget stuff. They're trying to get you in with different aspects to warrant you going to the movies versus staying home and getting it, right? So that old model just never will work anymore. It's kind of like Nintendo. The minute that Nintendo dropped Mario Maker, you know they're not going to release another 2D Mario for a long time, because they just gave you the key to make it yourself.
Exactly.
Right? Nintendo won't give you Mario Maker 1 and then Mario Maker 2 next year, and then 3 years from now release another 2D Mario, because you'll go, bro, I could just make that inside Mario Maker. Why are you giving me that? You know what I'm saying? So they saw that it was more lucrative and more useful for them to offset the cost, right? And then give you more benefit, and of course they get more of your money, right? In the long run.
It seems that Microsoft values, what's the word that people use all the time? They value, I can't think of it, but eyes. They want
the
people,
active viewership,
the
subscribers, the active numbers every month. Yep.
They'd rather, like I saw someone say, would you rather have 1 million sales or 10 million people playing?
Yes.
Because
in the background, those 10 million people playing will probably equal more than 1 million sales in the long run.
Exactly.
Right?
And especially if you happen to slide in some microtransactions, I'm sure if you got 10 million people playing,
which they definitely
your
do.
game,
they definitely do slide in the microtransactions. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you figure you would also make that lost sales money in microtransaction sales. So I guess at the end of the day, it probably balances out. But for the so-called gaming, the console war stuff, it's ammunition for either side to use to belittle the other side. So
which is
which
tends to be ridiculous. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm like, dude, we talking about billions and trillions. Yep. We spend this, people talk this,
and people
start
clowning.
Like,
you
bought the game. You bought one game.
Yeah, people clowning Microsoft as if they don't know how to make money. The $2, sometimes $3 trillion company, and you want to presume to tell them how they should go about their business. Yeah. So
right.
So Big Mad Mo in the chat saying, so this means there's 90 million folks that ain't in Game Pass. Do people really think they ain't buying games? ? And actually, I'll even do you one better. People in Game Pass buy games. A whole lot of games.
Come here, boy.
Because it's at a discount, right? So a lot of folks tend to buy games. A lot of folks tend to jump in because your barrier of entry is much lower, right? Absolutely. So I think it's disingenuous to anyone that literally starts the conversation about this whole thing, acknowledging its complexity, but also waving their finger at the $2, sometimes $3 trillion company, trying to tell them how to make money. That is my one note in my head that you may not know what you're talking about, because you don't make $2, sometimes $3 trillion. So you have no business telling a $2, sometimes $3 trillion company how to do what they do.
Yeah, we don't know how those moves work when you're dealing with that kind of money, because
yes.
They got, people say they got more money than God. I mean, come on, bro.
And that argument about, hey, it's training the consumer not to like this or not to like that, while that is a very interesting argument and we can have that conversation and there is validity there, but what you're doing,
absolutely.
Yeah, it is true. It is something that can be contended with. But what do you think about that idea that it's kind of like the old business model is the old business model until you innovate and find a new way of doing things, right? They got sick and tired of I sell you plastic, you buy my games, right? That's the model.
Yeah.
I sell you that box, you buy my games, right?
Exactly.
And then they realize that, okay, y'all can win that pot. Let's go to the other pot where it's no longer I sell you the games after you buy my box.
After you buy the box, right?
Now it's any way you want to enter the ecosystem, you can. You only want to play it on a TV with a remote and a Game Pass subscription on a browser, do so, right? You only want to do it on your phone, do so. You want to get in with a Series S, which is underpowered compared to the X, do so, right? So I think that those folks who are very worried about, we're changing the business model, they might just be afraid that their side, like Nintendo or PlayStation or whatever, might not know how to innovate themselves out of that model.
Right.
So we have to keep it exactly the same because that's how they win. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Chat, please let me know what you think too.
No, you're not wrong at all, because you got to look at it like this. Everything in existence has to evolve. Even video games. Video game model, to sell you the box, you buy the game. That's a thing that goes on in the world, and it too has to evolve. Microsoft just happened to be, really forward thinking with that. They saw that coming. We know Microsoft, they're known for being 5-6 years ahead of time, or having plans that's 10 years long.
Mm-hmm.
Halo, but
Absolutely.
but speaking, business terms, they're always 5-6 steps ahead. So they probably saw that where gaming was going and said, "Hey, we need to come up with something," because they realized we sell you the box, you buy our games, wasn't working for them. So out of sheer desperation, they had to come up with something. You know what I mean? And Game Pass was that thing.
Yep.
And they were taking a lot of hits and fodder and the whole get down. And even still to this day, they're still catching a little heat, even though Game Pass has really improved since its inception.
Yeah.
But you figure they're gonna continue to talk about it and give it a hard time until that snowball becomes an avalanche, and then they won't be able to, come with all of the BS that they hit Game Pass with. Yeah. So, if you're
on the point, not to cut you, on the topic of the whole idea that people were talking about, where Phil Spencer was saying that you see increases. We have GameFire in the chat. Salute to you. Thank you for being here. He's saying we have seen games come to Game Pass that sometimes hit bestsellers on Steam. Right? Absolutely. It's that word of mouth. It's that, hey, a lot of people are playing it. It's really good, and maybe I will try it. And I may not want to get Game Pass, or I may not be a Game Pass subscriber, and I don't want to be. But because my people are playing it and they like it and it's on Game Pass, I'll play it on another service, or I'll go buy it on Steam or something. So I think that's where that translation was. But of course, people want to love that headline of 1-to-1. He said it was profitable and it was helping games, but now we see it's not. Oh my God, we got them. That kind of it's like when he said it's profitable, it's because you figure whatever the number is of subscribers that Game Pass has. The last we heard was 29 million or whatever. Yeah.
If I had something that I can sell 29, if I had 29 million people buying something for $15 to $20, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some profit made in that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Because the game sales are one aspect, but nobody's considering that you're paying a certain amount of money for these games monthly. And that adds up, bro.
And you can even buy those games, right? It's not Netflix, because you can actually buy. Because Netflix, you ain't buying it if you're not subscribed. You can't unless it's a third-party edition. Therefore, first-party stuff, you can buy that at a store, right? But these guys, every single one of those games, you can buy at a store. Just like actually Disney as well. Disney Plus. Well, some of their shows and stuff also tends to be very exclusive to the service. But you can definitely buy all of the games that they put in Game Pass. It has not been a game that's been exclusive to Game Pass yet.
You can buy it all. So
absolutely.
So Game Pass at the end of the day is probably profitable. And Game Pass,
it's definitely profitable because the C-level executive said so. If he says it is and it's not, there could be ramifications that is not to anyone's liking.
Exactly. He can't.
How profitable it is, we don't know, because that's where they kind of fuzzy it up a little bit. But he can't say it is when it isn't, because that's a straight lie, and that would equal some penalties. Let's catch up a quick on the super chat here. Dave Ramos in the chat once again. Thank you, sir, with the $5, saying, how long did it take for HBO to change after Netflix took off? Sony and Nintendo will change to survive, i.e. Sony signing that Azure deal for Microsoft. Absolutely, sir. I 100% agree. And to that point, I actually subscribed to PlayStation Plus Premium not too long ago. Black Friday had a deal. I couldn't avoid it.
I remember you were mentioning that. I was thinking about signing up to the PlayStation Plus also, because there are a few games in there that I haven't played from PlayStation. Like, what is that? The one with they had the famous actor guy in it. It's like, I think it's it was like a cop game or something like Android. I forgot.
Okay. I think I know what you mean. You're talking about the game with Quantic Dream, where you make a lot of choices. You're robots compared to men.
Yes. I saw that was in the PlayStation Plus, and I think is I think Ratchet and Clank is
Ratchet
in
and Clank
there
is
now.
in there. Yeah, they have a very good list. They're like and really like I haven't put it through its paces enough. And to be honest, it's because there's just not enough time in the day, people. But I do want to give it more of a chance because, like you, my PlayStation Plus history, my PlayStation history isn't complete. Like I was a huge PS1 guy. I dabbled in PS2 just a little bit, and then I was a good big PS3 guy. I still have my my George Foreman grill, my PS3 George Foreman. It's still rocking to this day. And then of course I have a PS4, PS5. So there were certain games in the middle there that I may have missed. And yeah, I want to get back into it. You know, I love these games. So yeah, it seems like a pretty good service.
The one, and I can't front. I love PlayStation. I have a PlayStation 5. I love the games. The games are all really, really good, high quality, the whole thing. But for me, it seems like when I play not PlayStation, and I'm sure it's because I'm not really engaged in their ecosystem. So for me, every time I play my PlayStation, it just feels like I'm in a desert by myself. Like
it's a single player box these days for me, anyway.
Dude, it is an absolute single player box.
Yeah. Even though let's not give them short shrift though. I mean, I know people who have the whole situation just like on Xbox, right? You got you got your party chat, you got a whole bunch of people jump in, this and that, and by and large, depending on who you're talking to, some of them like those features better. Like, you know, some people really enjoy the ecosystem that PlayStation provides. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just if you're so used to playing a certain thing on their box, and let me be clear, I'm not a COD player. I'm a single player COD player, right? Those who love the multiplayer CODs, you know, they tend to tap into all of those party chats and stuff more. So I will not give them any slander because I hear from those people that I trust that on that side it works pretty well as well. It's just I've never really tapped into that. And then again, I also don't tap into an Xbox really because I'm a single player.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm sure they have similarities with the party chats and stuff like that. But it's like for me, and I have like maybe 15 to 20 friends on PlayStation.
Okay.
But they're never on.
Or they're always offline looking, you know. Nobody
exactly.
Connects.
So, and for me, one of the main things with gaming for me is the social aspect of it, because a lot of times I've been playing Xbox since 2004, maybe, you know, and at least Xbox Live since then. So that was one of the things that really made me gravitate to Xbox. Was the social aspect. Like a lot of times to this day, I'll jump on and see a party of my friends jump in and be in there for hours, bro, and won't even touch a game. You know, I've been browsing, just chatting, talking ish, and just doing it. So that was one of the main things for me, because you know, I don't know, I just don't, even playing games, I don't like to just be sitting by myself, just like I'm in a closet in my mom's basement doing it. I like to, you know, I don't know.
I get it. Yeah. I get it. Absolutely.
It's cool out there.
So let us continue down the PlayStation train here, and let me get your take on this PSVR stuff. All right, now people know, and I'm not gonna go hard because people know I'm the VR guy.
You're the VR guy, absolutely.
Now, let us also know. And we will not leave him out of it because the man J Mack is also a VR guy. I hear him on his VR bandwagon on many occasions. He is a Quest 2 guy through and through. So,
contractors, baby.
First and foremost, do you own a PS5, sir?
Yes.
You own a PS5. So you're already, well, I was about to say halfway in, but the PSVR 2 costs more than PlayStation 5, but that's neither here nor there. You are in there, but let's first and foremost set the stage real quick, and I will also, while I'm having this quick chat, I will ask the chat to weigh in, and I'll put in a poll in there real quick and have folks talk about it. And yes, this is IGN footage you're seeing. Shout out to them; they do good work when it comes to all of these things. So I will follow them, and I will show what they're showing you. But you have a PS5. You are not one of those people that in general are negative on VR because you've been using it, even the mobile chip, you know, because let's be clear, let's set the stage. If you're a technologist like me, it's a mobile chip, the Quest 2. So
Right.
it's always basically your phone's processor, right?
Right.
Compared to a beast PC or a PS5 that's got lots of technology in it, right? But this is a mobile chip. Still, they've been able to really cultivate the environment. They've been able to get a lot of people involved, a lot of people excited. People who didn't know or care about VR before are kind of really getting into VR now, yourself included. Tell me your general experience with VR and what this PSVR stuff means to you. Are you gonna tap into it, or are you waiting to see it? Go ahead.
With VR, it was something that I was always interested in, but kind of reluctant because, of course, we know, and I got this information from you, I believe, that 60% of the people who try VR get sick. So. It was I was kind of reluctant in that aspect, but I took a trip to Detroit last year.
Okay.
And my friend in Detroit had an Oculus.
Oh, nice.
So I tried it on, and I think the one experience was I think it was the Jurassic Park experience or something like that, where when you put it on and you're watching, and
I
they
know
just have
exactly
you sit,
the one you're talking about.
And then when you look left,
Velociraptor's coming at you from the left.
he's just sitting down on the ground. I'm like, this is crazy. And this was like my first time ever experiencing something like this. So I was like, yo, I gotta get this. This is even after I tried that. What is that? That roller coaster joint?
Yeah, that stuff. I advocate people don't try that because
I
that'll
can't
mess
do
you
that.
up.
Hey,
That'll
dude,
mess you
I
up.
cannot do that because I played the roller coaster and there's different modes on the roller coaster game. The one where just the roller coaster where they put the camera close to you so you don't get sick or whatever. And then they have one where you can slow the train down so you can shoot the objects floating in the air or whatever. And I tried that, K. And when I slowed the train down and let it go back to regular speed, the roller coaster, I was like, whoop, gotta take this off because boy, I was upside down almost. So I was like, no.
And this was the Quest 2 that you tried this on?
Yeah, the Quest. Yes, sir.
Okay, yes.
So when I was like, dang, I'm one of the ones I get sick playing this game, and then when I doing a little more research, I realized it was that particular game that made me sick. The motion of the roller coaster made me sick. But
most people don't know that. You should not try, and that's why Oculus, real quick, that's why Oculus sets like heat meters. This is comfortable, this is intense, this is medium. Most people, you need to follow that. And also the tech, I have said this for a long time, you get what you pay for, and in VR, it matters more than anywhere else. If you don't have technology that can keep the frame rate up while you're doing what you're doing, oh yeah, expect to have like a trip to the bathroom shortly after.
Yeah, bro, that was
not good. Yeah, but continue.
My wife played that same roller coaster game, and the mistake she made was she kept playing it after it made her sick. She kept playing it. When she finally said, "I can't take it anymore," she took it off and was in the bed, gone for like almost 2 days because it had her. I'm like, you got it. When it starts to make you sick, you have to stop then because it's like that motion sickness. It's like earthquakes. You gotta
and it lingers.
And it scales. It just progressively gets worse and worse and worse the more you do it. So when you get sick, take it off.
Yeah.
But as far as the PlayStation VR, before I got my PS5, I was like, King David had me so, shout out to ILP, he had me so spooked with, you're gonna pay $1,200 for for that hookup. You need the system and the VR. You're gonna be at like $1,200. I was like, well, damn. I might miss out on that.
I mean, the man wasn't wrong though.
He wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Because let's just real quick here. I have the PlayStation 5, 2 controllers, right? I'm saying, and I have the one with the CD in it, so we're talking 500 and change, right? 550, almost $600, right? And then I pre-ordered the Call the Mountain bundle for PSVR 2. That's $650, and then that includes the wireless controllers, the chargers for the wireless controllers. That's another $50. So you're talking $700. So $700 and $5 and change for the PlayStation 5.
Almost $1,300
right
bucks.
Around $1,200-$1,300. The man wasn't lying. But continue.
So to get that experience, it's gonna be a little lofty to get it. But if you're in a position to do it, I would because again, my experiences with VR Quest 2 have grown. I love.
Hey everybody, Max here with.
The only problem is it kind of suffers the same fate as PlayStation for me. It's just like a wasteland. I get in and I play.
Experience. Yeah,
and it's just like I could play like my favorite game on Quest 2 is Contractors, which is if they can call it Call of Duty VR, they should, but of course they can't. But it is absolute.
Speak even further to it. It's not Call of Duty VR. It is Call of Duty VR. It could be Halo VR.
Halo VR. It's a Star Wars Battlefront.
And what we mean by that is like the community have made like hardcore. Some of them have ported it. Some of them have made it by themselves. Skins for the entire game. You can literally look down and you are the Master Chief. You got the armor, the whole deal, and you are first-person shooting. Like that's how it is.
Guns,
you'll see Master Chief coming at you with the guns, the whole thing. But yes, continue, sir.
So once I got into that, I started playing Pavlov, which was free from App Labs.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is like a different experience. And I realized that that didn't make me sick, so I was able to really just dive in. And that experience for me is like, I love first-person shooters.
Yeah.
And after I really got into Contractors, I was like, dude, if there's anybody out there, and I was screaming this out on the mountaintops, if there's anybody out there who's fond of first-person shooters, if you can play Quest 2 without getting sick and play this game, please give it a try, because you realize that's the way first-person shooters are supposed to be played in VR.
Have you used a bump stock?
You know what? It's crazy. I bought one,
okay. So for the consumers who don't know what a bump stock is, they have this thing. It's basically like pieces of metal put together in the form of a rifle, if you will, and then you can strategically place your controllers on it. Some of them get very complex.
You can hold it like a gun.
Hold it like a gun. Some of them get very complex to the point where when you're shooting, it has like feedback. It pulls against you. You can really take it there and walk. You're walking in your house like this, just like But people go hard
amazing
on this stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Go ahead.
And for me, I started playing Contractors, and I played for like maybe 6 months. And I said, let me just go ahead and buy me a gun stock for this. And I bought a gun stock. I put it together. I put my controllers in. I booted up the game. I started playing, and I found that gun stocks impede my reload speed because in VR you really have to do the motion and the whole get down.
Yeah.
So it impeded my my reload speed. So I just took it down. I took my controller. I said, "No, I can't do that." I took my controllers. I broke that thing, then put it back in the box. It's still brand new. I used it one time. I said, "No, I can't do it."
Okay.
Because I had gotten so accustomed to just using just the controllers, and to be honest, I got like really, really good. I got really, really good at it. So I was like, well, no, I don't need a gun stock because if I can't reload in that, that split second, because a lot of times with the Contractor shooters, and I apologize, Ted, I know you guys are bored with this VR talk, but open ears.
We're here. Speak on it, brother. Go ahead. Yeah.
And with VR and first-person shooters, a lot of the the fighting is based on who can get that gun reloaded the fastest and get that shot off. A lot of it is that. So with me playing without the gun stock, I was able to
really take it there.
Yeah,
okay.
And bro,
so about this PSVR 2 specifically, you are basically their prime audience, right? Like let me be clear what happened here. Okay, so real quick for me, I had this pre-ordered day one. But ultimately, I canceled my pre-order for 2 reasons, right? I am not saying in any shape or form that this thing is not successful, that I don't want one. I am 100% getting one. But I'm a cheap gamer. I'm saving up for E3, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to spend money just to spend money, right? Like, let's be clear. Is this thing worth the price? I 100% think so. I think it is, because like if you see some blurry visions, I have like mad VR headsets here. I know what it is to invest, right? And as Slow-Mo saying in the chat, VR is niche, and he's right. The pie is small right now, right? So in order to move the ball forward, you need more investment. You need more people to get into it. So I applaud Sony for continuing to do so, right?
To push, right?
Yes.
Right.
But for me, like at the time when Valve was getting into it, I had money like that because I didn't have kids. So I bought the $1,000 big old the knuckles where you can like stick middle fingers up in VR. You can do the whole thing, right? Right. But now I got kids. I have all this other responsibilities that I want to take care of. Doesn't mean that I don't think it's valuable, but I'm trying to save some money, right? And let me tell you right now, go to the PSVR website to go buy one. You will still be able to pre-order it, and you will still get it day one. What does that tell me? That tells me the thing hasn't sold out. That tells me that the huge stock that they were trying to ship, they haven't done so yet. So when it releases, they're going to start enticing people to get in. And you'll see a deal. That's when you'll see your man get in. And that's reason number one that I canceled it. Reason number two, I'd say 85% of the launch lineup, which are great. Let's be clear. Let's keep it 100. They are
already
great.
In Quest 2.
Right?
Already
but they're
in Quest
also 2. Not just Quest 2, because those people will say, oh, Quest 2, that's a terrible experience compared to PSVR 2. Sure. But I have them on PC VR. And I will tell you now, I don't care what you say, Moss Book 1 and 2 will still look better on my PC than they will on your PSVR 2. Why? Because they're backed by my beefy PC over here, right? And my graphics card is way more powerful than the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation VR, the PlayStation 5. So as much as I love it, I am waiting for games and experiences that can only be found on PSVR 2. And that is Call of the Mountain. That is one or two, a few really interesting titles, which I'm excited for, but to me does not justify the $600 and whatever price today. That's why I canceled mine.
Dude, I can't lie. There was I looked at on YouTube about a week ago, and I was just looking at the PSVR 2 game releases, and I don't know when this game comes out. I can't even tell you. I can remember the name.
Okay.
Of the game, but it was a military shooter. And bro, I was actually in a chat with a couple of friends of mine, and when I saw this, you talking about taking it back? I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, PlayStation, you might got me on that one.
There we go. This is what I want to hear.
This game
was enticing you. Go ahead. Yep.
It was beautiful. It was a shooter. They were running around like.
Let me see if I can
like a squad team or something, bro.
Yep. I
was
know the
like,
game you're talking
oh
about. Let me see if I
my
can find it.
God, I gotta have this. So I said, damn. I'm like, damn. One game is gonna make me spend $600.
There we go. Now, are you talking Switchback? No, I don't think it's Switchback, because Switchback is like you're by yourself. You're talking a real squad game, right?
This was like a military, and I don't even know if the squad were actual people.
Yeah,
it may have just been like a single solo player, and you're running with an AI team.
Yeah.
But it was so beautiful, and just the way the game looked. You know, it was like destruction and the whole get down. I was like, damn. I gotta spend $600, bro.
There you go.
Depressed and happy at the same time. You know what I mean? But
yeah, no,
I was like, look, that's the one.
I am with you, good sir. I am. Oh yeah, there you go. Salute to Mr. Joanna Dark. It is 0 hour. It is called.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's called Firewall 0 hour. Yes.
I was like, whoa, bro.
Yes.
I said, this is what they can make VR games look like shooters? I said, yeah, I'm in.
You see? And I will stop the poll right now, and we just put a poll about, I'll give it a minute. Anybody that wants to add their thoughts into it, I will do so. But like Slow-Mo Backslap, who was able to get into VR with the Quest 2 and realize that mobile processor isn't really for him, a lot of people are like, they're not necessarily like full bore, hey, we want this experience. They have tried what's available, and it didn't really work with them. So they're like, I don't think I'll get into it. Like, as you look at the poll, we have 4% of the folks who are in the poll saying heck yeah, day one, right? 88% saying nah, right? And then 8% saying we'll wait and see, right?
That's where I am. I'm just waiting for that game release, the date of that release, and then I'll base my purchase on that, because I don't think I'll be playing anything other than that. I'm like, I hope it comes to Quest. But that I'm sure that's a PlayStation.
Yeah, it may very well be a PlayStation exclusive. Yes, absolutely. So, it may very well be a PlayStation exclusive. Yes.
To get that one, I'm gonna have to, bend the knee.
Yeah.
And
see,
and
but
say,
this is my issue here, right? Like, look at the games list, and I'm scrolling fast, I know, but I will tell you, 80% are on every other platform, including PC VR, which is the ultimate platform where all the bells and whistles live. So if you've been able to play like Zenith, for instance, great. It's an MMO, which is very rare for VR. It's a full-fledged MMO. You go in and you see other people in it, and it's really big. It's on Quest 2, but it's also on PC VR, and it looks best on PC VR. Like it really does. They throw everything at it. So even when it comes to PS5, it will not look as good as it does on my computer, right? So I'm waiting. I hear Call of the Mountain is amazing. That is one. That's one for the books. I'm waiting for that day. When it comes out, that's one that will go in the game library that I'll buy. And I want to see more of them.
Climbing simulator. Go ahead.
I do hear there's a lot of climbing simulators. And of course, let us pause a moment, because whenever the man gets some flowers, we want to always promote that. We see Nelson Rivera in the chat saying, "Oh, is Gerald Mack's first time podcasting? He's a natural already." Salute to you, sir. See, I told you, brother. You
Thank
good.
You. Appreciate it, bro.
Good.
Appreciate
no worries.
Thank you.
So yes, so for me, and people have been asking me, what do you think, this and that. I will not tell you not to buy this. I will not tell you that it's not worth it. I will not tell you that, it's dead on arrival or whatever. I think the price, while expensive, is justified. I do think it's justified. Right? Yeah. I wish we had a huge company with way more resources that can eat the cost a little bit so that more folks won't have that sticker shock. But if you are even remotely interested, I say do like I do. Keep your eyes open, sit back, and watch. I suspect that in order for the numbers to get higher, in order for PlayStation to become more successful with it, after the first batch gets sold out, you'll see them trying to entice people with deals. Maybe they'll give you a free game, or maybe they add more VR games to PlayStation Premium services or something. They will give you a reason to want to get in, and then at that point, in a vacuum, I think that hardware is great. I think they're going to offer you awesome experience.
Because I think, like Slow-Mo Backslap said, that VR is niche. It really is, and I don't think it's because of the specific platform. I think it's because of the issues of people getting sick. It's the reason why I think it's not as popular as it could be.
And just so you know about that sick stuff, right? That's why I say specifically in VR, you get what you pay for.
Get what you pay for.
When the VR first became a thing, the thing that everybody was talking about was the Gear VR. Terrible experience, because your phone does not have
put
enough
your phone
power.
in a box.
Yeah, your phone does not have enough power to sustain 80, 90 frames per second per eye constantly. Not gonna happen unless the games are really, 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 really rudimentary and doesn't take too much oomph, right? Let's keep it a buck. PSVR 1 didn't have the strength to keep that up, so they were using trickery to get it to raise to that 80 level. So even then, it wasn't really working for many, right?
Oh, they had a couple iterations of the PSVR 1 too, right? Because I remember hearing Boom,
one without, and all. It was a bit of a mess, right?
Right.
But let's be clear: the PlayStation 5 does have the overhead. What you have to think about is think of VR, think of the power as a cup, right? And you want the game to be able to take up this much and have extra over. There has to be overhead. So no matter how much you throw at the screen, there's still enough resources to keep it running at a high clip. The minute you overexert the capabilities of the machine, it has to drop frame rate in order to compensate. And on TV, you just see screen tearing, or you see it go hitching a little bit. In VR, you're like, you're ready to throw, because your brain gets tricked, right?
Yeah, so boy, that roller coaster had me
at the high clip. at all times. If they're saying this is 120 frames per eye, it can't drop to 110 all of a sudden, because if it does, you're throwing up, right? On a regular screen, it drops to 110. You're like, oh yeah, it feels a little weird, but I'm still playing. In VR, you are screwed. That's just the long and short of it. So you get what you pay for with VR, right? It has to sustain that heavy load, whatever you're doing. Call of the Mountain looking great. It can't drop to all of a sudden, oh yeah, you see it at 60 and it goes like that. No, you'd be like,
yeah.
The
reviewer of that Call of the Mountain was talking about, if you have any issues with, with height and stuff like that, it might not be for you, because he said he looked down a couple of times.
Yes.
He's like, ooh,
and see, to me, that's magical. To me, that's magical. To be able to trick your brain while sitting in your living room, you look down and you're actually on a mountain and you're like, oh my God, that is magical, right? Absolutely.
That's that, what's that game, Plank?
I played that before. Yes, absolutely.
I've seen some of those TikTok videos of those failures, bro, and I'm like,
absolutely.
It's crazy. I see your living room.
Yep. Shout out to Dave Ramos in the chat with a $2 super chat saying, sickness and isolating when home with family and friends. That is indeed a problem that VR needs to contend with. I think they're changing that a little bit by they're trying to make it more communal and having whatever you're playing on the TV screen so people can play together. There are some games where you have things to do on the outside and then you're talking to people inside VR. They're trying to make it more communal. But yeah, I agree with you that the isolation is the problem. PC VR tends to solve that a bit because they have games that are really for the community, like Rec Room and things like that. Demio, that's right.
That shout out to Lord Cog. Get together. Boy, chill.
Stop. It's a great game.
Cog loves that game, bro.
It's a great game. It's literally like going to your boy's basement with a bunch of dudes having some drinks and playing board games. That's what it is. Only the board game, you can take that board game that's on the table and then zoom it out, and there you are in the world looking at everything in life. They're looking at you, It really is a special experience, but I agree with those who are reluctant. It's up to these companies to get you in, and if right now what you're seeing is not convincing you, I'm not going to sit there and hate on you for it. Absolutely. It's up to them to get you committed. It's up to them to get you excited enough to jump in and want to play. So to me, I think it's a great experience.
Give me one second, sir. I got to use the restroom. Give me 1 second.
Not a problem. So we will move on for a minute here, and we will talk about some other interesting things that have happened this week in the game of gaming. But I wish EverbornSaga was here because I want this, and this is just my PSA. This is just my PSA real quick. Yes, Tetris is getting a movie. Ladies and gentlemen, Tetris is getting a movie. If you know me and you know what I'm about, I consider, although you won't see me playing it all the time, right? When Nintendo did their Nintendo Direct and they had a whole bunch of games that they were showing and showing off, they showed that, hey, we have a Game Boy coming to their service, right? And everybody was like, oh, whatever. I thought it was, I take it or leave it, right? But to me, Tetris was the big news. To me, it is considered by many and by me to be one of the greatest games ever made. Why do I say that? Because take your Ragnarok, take your Hogwarts, take whatever you want. At some point, that game will be an artifact of history, right? At some point, you may not play that anymore. Why? Because the hardware may not allow it, or maybe the IP will lose its luster or something like that. But you can know that when I was, I think I was 8 years old is the first time I got a Game Boy and I was playing Tetris, right? And it was great, and I played it for years, and we came and we moved on, right? Then, over the years, you've noticed Tetris comes back in another iteration, and another iteration, and another, the most latest iteration being Tetris Connected, which made all the money on all the platforms. It was on PlayStation, it was on Xbox, it even came to VR, and even there, it shined really bright. And I suspect that in 20, 30 years from now, or when my kids are gaming and become adults, there will be another iteration of Tetris that still shines. What other IP and what other franchise can you say that has that much staying power, right? So to me, that tells you that Tetris as a concept is considered evergreen and can last forever. So You won't see me playing it all day. You won't see me going, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the worst. No. But I think objectively, if you're on a desert island, and you want one game, it shouldn't be any game from any generation. It should be Tetris, because you can keep playing that thing forever and it won't lose its luster. And I guess someone somewhere agrees with me, because I guess per the news gods, Apple has released a trailer, which I won't play too much of. I'll just kind of let it run a little bit. It's a goofy little trailer, funny little thing. But yes, Tetris is getting a movie, ladies and gentlemen. They're making a very tongue-in-cheek and funny and everything, but
yeah, because
the storyline is interesting, because I hear Tetris, the person who made it got shafted. Like he made this game and then he lost the rights to it. So now anybody that makes Tetris, it doesn't go back into the pocket of the original creator, who still exists, a Russian gentleman. I forget his name. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. He doesn't get any of the money for that game anymore. So I think it's super interesting. Yeah, right? Like your game that keeps iterating and keeps, how many iterations of it are there on mobile right now, and new versions coming out all the time, and he gets no money.
There is no loophole for him. There has to be at least one loophole.
I suspect if he had it like that from jump, and he had high-powered lawyers to help him, they might find a loophole.
But you would think with a case like that, somebody would want to go pro bono, because they know what the payout would be.
That's right. So yeah, like, you know, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I will ask you, what do you think of Tetris? Are you a lover of Tetris like me, or are you just like, that's for the youngins? You can say what you will, bro. Go ahead.
No. Tetris is, again, I agree with you, probably one of the greatest games ever. For me, not so much, but big enough to probably warrant a movie. Is probably, what is it? Tetris been like, what, 40 years?
Yeah, 40, 50 years, something like that. Yeah.
So I guess it could warrant a movie, depending on how they do it, because what was that movie that I think it was called Pixel, the movie that Adam Sandler was in?
With a bunch of they tried to do things with it, and at that time I wasn't a big fan of the stuff they're doing it. Shout out to the man, the other slanderous one, the sauce master himself, Gaz, in the chat. Welcome, sir. Salute to you.
What's going on, bro? Good to see.
He's just here to let us know that Tetris is greater than Halo Infinite. He just dropped some sauce all over the place.
Yeah, boy, saucy.
Damn, sir. But yes. I didn't
shout
want
out to my boy Live Supremacy. Sorry,
yes, indeed.
Shout out
to
to
you,
Live
sir.
Supremacy.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here as well. I didn't want to spend too much time on this. I just wanted to let people know that it's out here,
right,
and Tetris is out here, and it's interesting. But really what I want to talk to you about, and I want to get your take on this, is did you play Saints Row?
The new one?
Yes.
No.
You didn't play Saints Row.
And let me tell you why. Because the first Saints Row was really good. I enjoyed Saints Row. The one. It was really good.
My favorite was Saints Row 2.
And I'm gonna tell you, Saints Row 2 is where they lost me.
Oh, really?
Because they lost me because on Saints Row 2 they have a mission where you have to drive around in a van and spray ish all over the city.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, look.
Yep.
Too much.
Yep. I hear you.
Too much.
I hear you.
You know, yes. I was like, I'm good. And then they just kept going further away from what it was, all the way to now we're alien presidents, and it was just too much. And then when they tried to bring it back, kind of ground it a bit, it was still just like super corny, bro. I'm like,
they were like, so I'm catching on, because I'm an old like you. I'm catching on the new term, Gen Z, Zoomers. This is for the Zoomers, straight for the Zoomers.
Boy,
right?
It's for the Zoomers, boy.
Yes, I heard the dialogue was like so cringe and left people like wanting. I didn't even bother. It wasn't like you. Saints Row has left me when I forget the name of the voice actor who's really big in there. I will look him up. But when they stopped working with him to make Saints Row games, that's when they lost me. So You know, so to me, the reason why I like 2 the best, and I can hear you why you don't like 2, because I thought 1 was too much of a GTA clone.
Yeah, right.
It was very, very, very much speaking the same language, right? And to me, I thought they were trying to find their own lane, and with 2, they kind of started down that path, right? I didn't appreciate all the missions. I hear you, sir. I definitely do. I hear you, but I did appreciate that they started down that path of kind of separating themselves from Saints Row and doing their own thing. At the time, another one of my favorite games, which, like, people, if you have not tried that recently, I know it's hard to get your hands on it, but True Crime, Streets of New York.
Go.
Streets of New York is one of the greatest games no one has ever played. And I played that recently.
Yep.
The first one is narrated by Lawrence Fishburne. I'm talking Morpheus himself. The second one is by another actor, which I forget his name. Like, it's on the tip of my tongue. Like, they threw so much acting chops and like swag on the screen, and they were doing some amazing things. That game holds up. I'm looking for a remake of that thing. Like,
that's one of those games. When the ABK deal was first spoken of, and I think in the beginning they were showing a list of all of the games that Activision, all of their IPs, and those happened to be in there. And I was at the point where I was like, well, if this deal goes through, it puts Microsoft in the position to where they don't need anybody. As far as like, people were crying about why doesn't Xbox go the Marvel route or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, if you look at the IPs that's under the Activision umbrella, they don't need Marvel. They've got Indiana Jones, of course. They have Ninja Turtles. They have the Transformers. They have enough of their own stuff to where they don't need all of that outside stuff, especially if this deal goes through and they really have access to those IPs. But also True Crime and stuff was in there.
Yeah,
and I was like,
and to be clear, some of the IPs that you're describing, some of them were published, and some of them they actually have access to, like, make new ones on. So if nothing else, you might see them tap in and bring those back and possibly put it on Game Pass as how it was. They may not be allowed to make new ones in that IP, but exactly to your point, some of those games like True Crime and things like that, they may have full-fledged IP access to. And right now, Activision Blizzard just kind of parked them because they are the Call of Duty machine these days. But no, I agree with you on that. Yeah.
I'm trying. There's a prototype, bro. Come on.
Yes, absolutely. One of the greatest superhero games before superhero games got hot. One of the greatest.
Exactly.
And the actor I'm talking about is Keith David. And anybody who knows Keith David, like when they lost Keith David,
the man with 2 first names.
When they lost him and that iconic voice, I was like, I'm out. Right? Keith David is boss. Anything he touches is gold, especially in the video game realm. I love that man.
Yes.
So to lose him was kind of sad for me. But no. So I bring all this up because, as you see on the screen, the story of the day is that Saints Row that came out, the reboot, was $100 million,
bro,
and it underperformed, right? And people were just like, "Oh man, like this is a horrible, horrible state that it's in." And of course, this might, lead to Saints Row never coming back, right? Which is really sad, which is a very unfortunate thing, And we all know what Embracer Group is about. They have many IPs and studios underneath them, including the likes of Borderlands, the Metro series, as in Metro Exodus and all of that, Deep Rock Galactic. They account for a whole lot of really high-performing IPs and all that, right? So yes, we saw this, and it came out, and people were all kind of up in arms about it, and unfortunately, saying that maybe that's the reason why someone like an Embracer Group shouldn't get into buying all these IPs. But then it seems that folks may have missed the thread because, truth be told, they made 128% revenue growth over last year, even with that $100 million game underperforming, right? So this is I don't know if you caught this whole story, but yes, they made 120% in growth, and they are planning to launch. Yes, that's right. You see it from the title there.
31
AAA games, including 5 of them coming from Crystal Dynamics. This calendar year. So yeah.
Oh, wait. 5 games coming from Crystal Dynamics.
Yes. And Eidos. Yeah.
So Crystal Dynamics is still on Joanna Dark right now, right?
Yes, they are still right now hired by Microsoft to finish Perfect Dark. We don't know how far along that is, right? Because they've been at that for a while, right? Also, they are part of. Obviously, they were sold from Square to Embracer Group. We don't know how much of the staff has come up. We know the Crystal Dynamics themselves have multiple teams, and they're helping with Fable. Yes, thank you, Gunfire, in the chat. They're also helping with Fable. We know that
who is
Crystal Dynamics is helping with Fable.
Oh wow.
Yep. We know that they have multiple teams within Crystal Dynamic, right?
Yeah,
and also multiple teams within Eidos. So it's like they are stretching them.
Yeah, I'm like, they got to be a pretty big production. They got to have a lot of people if they spread them that thin.
Absolutely. But let's be clear, these guys are making money hand over fist, right? So Embracer is out here, and they are not losing the thread. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Oh yes. Please. And not to be misquoted. Forgive me. I misquoted that. Thank you, Slow Mo. They're talking about 5 games by 2026.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because I was gonna say if they're still working on
5 games
Perfect
by 2026, but even that is a very hard timeline, bro.
Because 26 is not that far away.
That's far away, and
years.
you're talking 5 games. And when they say a AAA game, like how long does it take to make a AAA game? Now, let's be clear. Let's establish the ground on what a AAA game is. A AAA game is considered by budget, not necessarily quality, because some AAA games come out and they go, right? But people call AAA games lots of different things. But to call it a AAA game in parlance that's used in gaming, it is the dollar amount that is spent on this game as a budget. So they're talking about 5 of them from Crystal.
Yeah, well, that makes me believe they've probably have some of these games already, or have been working on some of these games already. Because if they're only projecting out to 2026, which is 3 years away, most AAA games take that long or more to build. And if they're putting out 5, if they're looking at 5 games up to 2026, that means these games have to be made already.
Yes.
At least 2 of them.
I love the chat, setting the record straight. Thank you, Victor Alstein. He's here. Like, it's Eidos that is helping with Fable, not Crystal, but they combine them because to them it's Crystal and Eidos, because that's one house that they bought from Square. But yes, Eidos Montreal is helping out with Fable. It is not Crystal. Crystal is actually helping out with what do you call it? Well, depending on how what the reports are, they're actually making it or they're helping out with the initiative. Yeah. But yes, it is
I see. Slow Mo says that he thinks Fable and Perfect Dark are added in that 5.
In that
5.
Okay,
well that makes sense.
True. That does make sense. So then there are 2 that we know of, and then there are 3 that we don't know of. But still, think about it. And not to be outdone, let's establish the groundwork here, because when a consumer, and I know, there are differences between what a consumer thinks of something and what maybe somebody in the gaming business does. But as we all know, perception tends to be reality. So when a consumer thinks of a AAA game, they'll look at one great AAA games. Look at Horizon Zero Dawn. Look at God of War and all these. These games are what, 5-6 year projects?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Imagine this team with multiple groups in it making 5 6-year potential titles, right? That's like a deep bench, I hope.
Yeah. That's
right.
You got a starting 15.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. it's a lot of and of course, then we're also hearing about the Tomb Raider stuff coming. So that's probably also part of the 5, right?
Oh yeah,
and that's being published by Amazon.
By Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So Amazon is kind of feeding the beast there, feeding them the money a little bit to do that, and that's also still within the fire. But they got a lot of irons in the fire, right? They're doing a lot of things.
That sounds like we got 10 service games coming.
Uh-huh.
10 of them.
Yes, yes. Oh, and of course, here's the reporting by March 2028. By March 2028, at least says VG Charts, right? Like this is the reports by March 31st, 2028, right? So
okay.
even still, right?
That's 5 years away. I mean, still, that's one game development time that they're talking about putting out 5 of them, or 3 of them because of the 2 that we already know.
Yeah, we already know what's going on. But still, you would think like most of the time when Crystal Dynamics made that reboot of Tomb Raider, I suspect maybe that was the whole team together doing that, right?
Right.
Rather than just a group within them, right? Oh. And of course, welcome back, sir. Let us get an update. We see the brother is back with us. Let me get him back in here. Let's see.
Glad you're back. You're back, bro.
Hold up. Let me find him here. Triple. There you go. Let's get the man back in here. And we have
What's happening?
We have the brother back with us. Please give us an update, sir. We hope you're good. We hope the fam is all right. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, like I said before I left, everybody is fine. It was just more of a fender bender than anything. But like, these cars are so goddamn expensive to fix.
Bro, you out there in New York City? Like I lived in New England for many years, and I know one thing: I do not drive into New York. I take an Uber. I will walk around when I'm in New York because it's worse than a third world country driving there. Sometimes I'm just saying.
So,
and you got those beautiful cars in that third world country driving.
I live in Oakland, but the city of San Francisco, dude, I walk. It's insane.
It's one of those things, and it was like at a, like an intersection, so you're supposed to yield. I had to explain to the missus that the other person had the right of way. And she did not try to hear it.
Oh no, that's one of those.
We went back to the dash cam footage, and I'm like,
and you can literally pull up the dash cam footage easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's over, baby. It's over.
Yeah.
So,
but no, welcome back, sir.
I'm glad everybody's okay.
Yeah, that's all that's important. That's all that's important.
Yeah.
Now,
I really
go ahead.
Like, man. I ran out because like she called me. The first thing she said, she's fine. Don't worry about it. Everybody's fine. Nobody's hurt.
Yeah.
I really ran out just to check on the car.
Yeah, because this is the second one you've had to deal with in so many months, right?
But like, we just got this car like December 30th. It's only February.
I'm sure them Tesla folks in New York are like, oh man, Everborn family again. Oh man. Maybe they should hire a Tesla robot to help you guys along.
The police officer had no sympathy. He first started. He started with, "You're probably not used to hearing you're in the wrong." And I was like, "Who the f do you think you're talking to?"
Oh man, that's crazy. Well,
it happened like right up the road, like just getting on the highway from the house. It's maybe like 5 minutes from here.
Brother, I apologize that you have to go through it again, but I'm happy that the fam is good though. I'm happy that everybody's good.
These things happen. It's just, of course, it's just paper, as Diddy would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Slow-Mo's back here saying he's happy you're back because he needs to hear how wrong you are. You need to hear how wrong you are about Hogwarts Legacy.
Listen, man, it's a victim of its own success. I can't dedicate that time.
True, but at least he was.
That's why I was able to beat all those games this year so far.
Yeah.
At least he's spitting facts now, rather than going, "Oh, it's a poor man's Tolkien."
No. Again, it's still a poor man's Tolkien.
But that's not the reason you're not playing it. That's not the reason you're not playing it.
The franchise is garbage.
That's also not the reason you're not playing it. All that can be true, but none of that has any bearing on why you're not playing it.
I'm just saying you can't quote the fact that it's a trash franchise for any reason for me not.
But that's not the reason you're not playing it. You're not playing it because it's too much of a time investment. And
I just want you to acknowledge that it's still true that that's a trash franchise.
In your opinion, sure it is. Okay.
That.
But let's at least get back to where we were talking
about. What's going on?
let's go back to what we're talking about.
This is Joanna Dark.
Shout out to Joanna Dark.
That's right. See, they're bringing the slander back, and so here you are. You see, as soon as you show back on the show, all of a sudden it devolves into slander territory. Right. This is why we call him # the slanderous one. I'm just saying. Okay.
You know what I really think happened? I think it was actually the Tesla's fault because Elon wants me to pay for Twitter.
Oh God!
And they're taking away 2-factor authentication.
Bro, I got the same message this morning, 5 minutes after you.
I got it yesterday.
Actual
right. So because I'm not paying for Twitter, maybe he did something with the self-driving.
Okay. You know what? We're gonna take a quick detour. Let's finish up this story real quick. We're gonna take a detour and actually do some tech talk because I want to talk to you about Twitter. I'm happy you're here, and I want to hear the community's opinion on it because it's bothering me. And I want to talk about Twitter, but let's just finish up real quick on this whole Crystal Dynamic thing. Everborn, real quick, have you seen what's going on here? So first and foremost, the prevailing narrative was that Crystal that Embracer, trash fire. They're not doing good work in the IPs. They put $100 million into
Saints Row,
into Saints Row, and it underperformed as we all expected it would, right? And people took that to mean that, this proves it. Crystal D was sold off to a poor steward. Embracers is terrible. They're gonna run it into the ground. But that was within a small nugget of a bigger picture that was trying to tell you that Embracer Group had a record year with 128% revenue growth across most sectors.
Revenue is not profit. That's the
no, absolutely. But even in the gaming sector, they have board games, they have all this. Year over year, they have really, really grown by leaps and bounds.
I want to know net bookings.
He wants to dig into the deets.
I want to see the numbers. Show me the numbers.
I want to know if they actually if they made money before we celebrate this thing.
Yeah.
The other thing
out
is
here. That's all I'm saying.
They're making 5 AAA games from Crystal Dynamics
by 2028, and they're doing 31 AAA games in total.
The how you define AAA games remains to be seen.
We will define it by how it's defined. Right? The budget.
Budget.
Right. But what is their threshold for breaking into AAA games? Right.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I would say $100 million is a AAA game, which is what they spent.
I don't think they're gonna spend 3.1 billion.
They spent $100 million on.
They did,
Saints
and
Row.
they saw that didn't work. My question though is, 5 from Crystal Dynamics and IDOS. How many of those are they actually paying for? Because it seems like Amazon's paying for Tomb Raider, Microsoft is paying for Fable and Perfect Dark. What are the other two? And who's paying for them?
Hey, bro, that is smart business sense, baby. They took the IPs and they get others to produce.
I mean, I'm only mad that Microsoft didn't pick them up. But other than that, I'm not mad at Embracer. Hey,
true.
That's true. That's that PlayStation Call of Duty connection.
There you go.
Yeah, listen, man. As they say, you got to use what you got to get what you want.
Absolutely.
That's a certain Jamie Foxx movie.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. So no, I just think it's super interesting. But okay. Let's take a detour. Let's take a quick detour because you came here with a mission and a question, and I want the community's thoughts on this. Okay, I do because and real quick, I'll find some stories to back it up. But let's start the conversation, Everborn, and you brought to light the whole Twitter thing, right? And for a while now, Twitter has been devolving. Elon bought it, all this stuff. And I put a tweet out there, and I don't know if shout out to him, if Luke Lore is still here. He posted a like laughing at a tweet because there was this rumor of a new rule that was coming that was going to limit a lot of aspects of Twitter if you're not paying for it, right? And he was just laughing. And I put out there, for a long time, I saw Elon and his endeavors as Tony Stark. But in fact, he was Justin Hammer. He was Justin Hammer a long time. He was, right? Like, he's been, right? And I think what brought that about was he was angry because he wanted something that would allow his Twitter profile and his tweets to outshine any other tweets that are out in the public. So he wants like some secret sauce in the code that anytime Elon tweets, his gets like every view versus everybody else's. So the ego right there, right? So it made me go, what is going on, right? Look, why, you ask, Everborn? Because the man had altruistic views. He was bringing.
He never did.
Let me explain.
He never did.
Let me explain. He was bringing together different aspects of the business to create a world and force the world to live in that electric car future, and showing that, hey, you know, all the FUD that the standard car companies were talking about. Well, this ain't gonna work. Oh, look how ugly they tend to be. Oh, they're not powerful enough. Every question that they had, he answered in fabulous fashion, and it made him, you know, very successful at it. And he was seemingly doing the yeoman's work of getting it across the finish line, right?
Okay.
Altruistic
I gotta
work.
Stop you. I gotta stop you.
Clearly, those who had that view were misled. Were missing the forest for the trees. I was caught by it. I will admit.
There were people that thought Danny from Game of Thrones was a good guy, and I just don't know how you could see it. The evidence was right there in front of your face the whole time, right?
Go ahead.
So, like every Targaryen, Danny, well, not every Targaryen, but like her father before her, she was a tyrant. Like Elon is a tyrant. So, these tactics.
Well, first and foremost, speak on what he is saying, what he's doing. Like, why are we here?
Okay, so
go ahead. Start from the
what's
beginning.
happening right now is Elon is trying to find a way to extract value from Twitter. It's a very powerful communications tool. It does drive a lot of conversations and public policy and company practices. It does all of that from the vocal minority that are actually on here crying every day, right? We can see a few people crying about something video game related, and we can pretend it doesn't matter, but companies are very afraid of the negative feedback loop of having the ire of you know, social communities on Twitter. So anyway, Elon realized that. Elon probably realized that Twitter is what put Trump in office as president. I'm not getting political, but that's how powerful of a tool
that's
it
how
is.
Twitter has the potential to be. Yeah, you're right.
So he thought it was undervalued. He moved in on it, and now he's trying to basically say because maybe 90% of the people on Twitter don't tweet or don't tweet often.
Yeah.
It's the 10% like us that are on there every day, the content creators. And this is the irony of all this. Us, and again, you and I have small followings, but all those people with following, the content creators on Twitter, that's who he wants to pay. And those are the people that are actually giving the tool value.
And to your point, Everborn, and this is where the community comes in. I am torn because honestly, I was getting ready to pay for Twitter before all these tactics started. Why? Because, as you say, it is our promotional tool. We communicate with our public that way. It's great to be able to have a back and forth with people with it. So I have no issues dropping some coin on a thing that provides value to the show and all of that. I can write it off as a business expense, whatever. We can do all of that. But it looks like what they're doing here will get even the normal people to get off of Twitter. Like, I don't mind paying for it, but if you're literally removing safety features and forcing people to pay for it, won't it be like by the time I pay for it to be able to continue doing it, other people will go, well, two-factor is gone now, so why should I be here? It's unsafe.
Well, okay, just on the technical side, using an app for your authentication.
They are still allowing for app authentication.
For now.
For now, until they put that behind a paywall. Okay.
But so there's that aspect of it. So like you probably shouldn't be using your phone because
you should only be using the app.
But still, the impression, the tool here is to say, hey, your account will be less secure unless you pay.
See,
right?
but to your point there, Everborn, you make a valid point that it is an obscure method of two-factor, which the app is far more secure. That's not how it was built. They didn't come back. They didn't come out and say, "Hey guys, we're taking this away because we think that the other factor authentication is a more secure method, and we want you to use that." Instead, they went, "Oh, this is behind a paywall now." Will that not entice folks to, this place is going to be less secure, let's break out?
No. So again, it's a fear tactic, right? So like, if you're going letter of the law, they're not making your account less secure.
They're definitely not.
Are, yes. Because you still have the option, which you should be using in the first place.
True, which I am using right now, yeah.
The impression it gives is that your account would be less secure.
Yes.
Right? And so that is what they're doing. And again, when I say I don't know why, you're talking to a person that owns 2 Teslas, right? One of which just got into an accident. But let me tell you about some of their tactics, right, at Tesla. Right?
Yeah. I want to hear it.
Right now, anybody who drives a Tesla knows this. There was a recall. For,
big recall.
Self-drive. Now, here's the thing. It's not really a recall because they just have to put out a software update. The problem with this is
going back to MySpace, but I'm sorry. Continue.
They have to. The recall means that they have to turn off all their self-driving features.
Yep.
Right? Yep. The problem with that is, even though it's software, they charge for this. So if you had self-driving,
you paid extra.
If you had enhanced self-driving, you had to pay $9,000.
Yeah, and then they turned it all off. Does that mean they give you the $9,000 back?
No, it does not mean they give it back to you. Right? If you had full self-driving, you pay $15,000. Now, my car, my Model 3, because at the time they were giving it out for free because it's effing software. Like that came with my car, so I had it, but I factored that into the value when I bought it, and now it just doesn't have that feature.
It doesn't have that feature anymore. Yeah.
Now, and again, this is something they charge you for, and if you don't want to pay $15,000 or $9,000, you can pay $200 a month in perpetuity. But it gets better. The way Teslas work is they all ship with all the features, and as in-app purchases, you can unlock them. So in my car, if I want to unlock the heated rear seats, I can pay them $500 right now. And just software update, now you have heated rear seats. Because
everything is through software.
It's all so these are all scumbag tactics.
Watch. You can see J Mack's mind is being blown in real time. Go ahead, bro.
It gets better real quick. Real quick, J Mack. So in the Model Y that we just bought, we were not going to buy it until this year, right? Because my wife's lease was up in May. So we said, okay, there's some delay on getting them, so we're just going to put the order in, but we're going to hold off delivery until sometime this year. So
oh my god.
They reached out to me and they said, listen, hey, this was in December. Hey, we see you have an order in place. We can get it to you right away, but you have to take it before December 31st. And if you do, we'll give you a $7,500 discount.
Yeah.
Right? So immediately my alarm bells start going up. I tell the missus about it. She's like, no, let's do it. We don't want to lose that deal. So basically, long story short, I won't get into all the details, but we move on the car and we're like, okay, we got a $7,500 discount. Great. Only to less than a month later, them to say, by the way, we're lowering the price by $13,000.
Well, but I'm sorry. Just a point of clarification here. This tends to be just falling into the Everborn curse. I mean, you just heard him this morning. He bought Callisto Protocol. He bought Dead Space. You know what that means. It'll be in Game Pass.
They're about to go
into
Game Pass or be on sale. Yes.
Mr. EverbornSaga buys a Tesla. 2 weeks later, it loses value for $21,000?
Right, like $21,000, right?
Yeah. Whoa. Okay, so I got a $7,500 discount, and then it was discounted by $13,000. So I lost like $5,000 there, but The other thing is there's a $7,500 tax credit, which I wouldn't have qualified for anyway, just because of like income. There's income caps for it.
Sure.
So I don't think I would have qualified for it. So I'm only counting as being in the hole by $5,000.
Yep. Okay, I understand.
But again, they specifically targeted me out. I had my thing on hold, and they knew they were going to lower the price. So they were trying to bring me in, and I
they
fell
know the
for
EverbornSaga. They might as well keep that,
right?
beautiful
They were trying to bring
going.
me in with the $7,500 discount, but really they knew they were going to lower it by 13.
Oh,
and so this is the kind of thing that Elon and his companies do.
Yeah,
so we should have known these Twitter tactics were coming. And
So,
this has been going on for. By the way, last thing. There are people in 2019 that put money down on the Cybertruck,
and they still haven't
there's literally no. We don't even know if that thing has gone into production yet.
Yeah.
They're just like, give us money,
and we'll tell you eventually one day.
Maybe we'll put it out. Maybe we won't. Who cares? You're stupid enough.
Yeah, but who put their money down?
And you think PlayStation stands are bad?
Yeah,
the Elon people.
Yeah, they are a cabal,
like
for real. They are a cabal.
Amazing. You can't say anything about them. They're
Shout
worse
out
than
to
the Beehive.
Splendiferous with the $2 super chat. He says, "Good morning, people and players. Wagwan, you know. Thank you so much, brother, for being here. We appreciate you for being here, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Real quick, I put a chat. I put a poll in the chat. You know, I am at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it looks like we use it as a great arm to continue communicating with y'all. We use it to let you know the gaming circle's coming. We let you know we have polls. We communicate with the chat, games, and all this stuff. I want to pay for it, but I want people to continue using it so it becomes valuable. Are you going to keep using it while it's seemingly heading down the tubes? We're not really sure if it's heading down it, but it looks that way. Should we continue to use it? Or is this the time where we're wink, nudge, heading towards Discord? You know,
so
put it in the chat. Let us
content
know.
Creators.
Yes.
I just want to put this out there, right? You guys remember On the Real, right?
Oh,
yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so now you remember me and Kay Asante's co-host, my brother from the same mother.
That's right.
LeVar. He just did a post on Facebook that got like 1 million
that was your brother.
views.
Shop.
Nice.
Yes. So they've actually been updating their algorithms to get more traffic.
Are you really telling us to go back to Facebook right now, bro?
I'm just saying, if
you
you want eyeballs,
I'm glad that I've shaken Facebook out of the system. Okay, well,
Facebook is not taking away 2FA, and they're not, and they're not telling you it's $8 a month to use because they know you are the product.
So the choice is Elon Musk or the other guy.
Yeah, or Zuckerberg. Okay. Indeed. And I mean, like, you, Mr. J Mack, have nothing to speak, Mr. Meta lover.
Hey,
he got you.
I'm not. Hey, you know the speak all week is separating the art from the artist.
Yeah, that's true. That is indeed the case. Victor Alcine in the chat saying, "Nah, ponies or groupies are worse Elon fanboys. They just have money." That's absolutely true. Absolutely
I don't know, man. Say so. Listen. Anyway, the amount of people that are in your mentions, the amount of people that are like, you see what they did to Blessings just because he said he didn't like the PSVR 2. Say something bad about Elon and watch your mentions blow up.
Yeah, you did the WTF, Elon. I'm waiting to see what they do to you.
I don't know. I'm a repeat customer, so maybe I'm fine.
True. You in the bag. You know, you have the vehicles, the whole nine.
I'm talking all of this. I got the Cybertruck on pre-order.
Yes, I know you do.
Never coming out though.
Yeah, they got you $100. You know, we'll see how it goes.
But again, I just think we should have seen this coming. I think it's wrong-headed, but I do think you gotta kind of diversify your output. So, look at TikTok. Look at maybe revisit Facebook, because if the goal is, I know it's Facebook, right? But like, I fail to see how Facebook is any worse than this a-hole Elon.
No,
right?
no. I don't disagree.
You're watching what is happening day to day, and it's a dumpster fire on Twitter, right? After Elon's doing all of this, do you think he's being safe with your data?
Crazy, bro.
This is the problem. He's firing developers, top tier developers that they themselves are then coming out and saying, hey, this man doesn't know what he's doing. He's ruining the platform. I'm afraid that it will become a cesspool for hackers. So and your data's going everywhere, you know?
How can we snub our noses and look down on Facebook, and we over here on Twitter with an idiot running?
So I guess this is all to ask the community. What are we doing?
And if we're talking about last thing, if we're talking about, what's a blight on society and what is, cause, like, Twitter's worse than Facebook in terms of election influence and all this other stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Think about it.
I would say Twitter is probably worse than Facebook when it comes to that kind of stuff, because it's like Twitter is like right now instantaneous. It's like it's whatever you see is it just happened. Like sometimes I see guys
without any kind of information, context, and without any kind of backup. Yeah, absolutely.
Wildfire.
Yeah. No. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to belabor the point and spend too much time hating on Twitter. We know what's going on. You've seen it. The dumpster fires are everywhere. But I guess I find it unfortunate that this great tool that we've used for so long, that we're now using to promote the community and help us grow and keep in touch with y'all, right? And unfortunately, it looks like maybe whether we're paying for it or not, it looks like it's the end of days for this platform. Sooner rather than later. I guess put it in the DM.
I doubt that. I think they'll be just fine.
Sure. Okay. And I guess that's the conversation I guess I want to have with the people. Like, are you confident? Should we continue using it? Do you think we should now invest more time in maybe getting in the Discord? Because we do have a Discord channel. I just never promote it. We do have a Discord channel. I'm just not a fan of Discord like that, right? People are huge fans of Discord. I just never have been. Call me an old. These grays are real, right? But maybe it's time for us to diversify, like you're saying, Everborn. But I will let the community help us and weigh in on that. What do you all think? I know Victor Alistine has said that in the past, that maybe start a Discord channel, something like that. Maybe it's time to move that way.
I've been telling you to start these private DMs.
We can start the cool private DMs, something like that, But yes, I will allow the community to weigh in, because I want to speak where they live, and right now they live on Twitter, right? They live there, and maybe YouTube creates a great component for communication.
Gamers on other platforms.
True. A lot. But this is not just about gamers. This is about our gamers. I love seeing Mr. Joanna Dark in here. I love seeing Victor Alistine in here. I don't want to just go like cut them off and go, okay, I'm going to a different set of gamers. No, where y'all go, we want to be there too. So communicate with us. Let us know.
Most people have accounts on all of those things.
True. Absolutely. So that's my question, right? Where do y'all, when Twitter becomes the cesspool that none of us really care about anymore, if that ever happens, where's our plan B? Let me know, right? Like, leave me a comment, whatever you guys, however you want to communicate with me, whether it be on Twitter or in the DMs or in the chat after this show posts. Let me know where you guys want to go, and we want to incorporate that, because there have been times where, like, a show is about to start, Mr. Boomstick, we're getting on Double Barrel Gaming, and then Twitter's out. You know what I mean? Twitter's just done, and you're just like, come on, you can't communicate with people, you can't send people invites. It is unfortunate. Gabe is sitting there going, telephones, man. We got to go back to the analog.
So here's another
Joanna Dark is in rare form, bro.
Go ahead. I see him. What's Rodimus? What's conjecture? The other question is, did you guys talk about that Metro UK article saying Microsoft should sell Xbox?
No, I did not. What? Because you know why I did not? because the headline is stupid, but in the details, they're just speaking on one of their readers and one of what their readers said. And at the bottom of that article, it says, well, our readers' reflections do not reflect what we believe, blah, 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 blah. But of course, they put that as a headline. So it's just clickbait bullshit. And that's my one.
Speaking of clickbait BS, has this week felt overly disingenuous in terms of the headlines?
Mostly, yeah.
And I want, like, for example, right? And maybe it's this week and last week, right? But like, you had the Redfall situation where no one even thought to reach out to Bethesda or Microsoft or anyone, but they saw a negative headline, so they just said, "Hey, I'm gonna run with it."
Physical copies. Yep, absolutely.
Right. So we saw the ridiculous, and I talked about this on Wednesday, the ridiculous conversation after the preliminary findings from the CMA came out, where they were saying Xbox, Phil Spencer lied, and Xbox admits that Game Pass cannibalizes sales. But
we spoke about that.
No one apparently, no one read the actual findings. They didn't read the document they were quoting from. They just saw that it was a headline and no one cared to mention that the quote they're pulling is from
the 2018 regulatory bodies.
No. Well, they're pulling a quote from 2018 and trying to tie it to the fact that Microsoft says that they estimate putting COD into Game Pass would cannibalize sales
because they're using their own
COD
historical
sales
data
because they're selling them today.
COD. Yes, absolutely.
Right? And then they tied it to another piece of it that said 12 months after a game goes into Game Pass, we've seen a decline in sales, which you would see anyway with any game 12 months later.
Slow-Mo and I were on Crossfire yesterday. Even he said that like 60, 90 days after a game is released, you start seeing the drop.
Seeing decline. Exactly.
Unless you're Nintendo,
part of it.
You're seeing the decline. Yes.
Right. And so, in the chat, they're saying reading is too much work, right?
Shout out to Loke7. Shout out to the man. He was on this show. Great guest.
Yeah,
he's out there being slanderous as usual.
Which is fine. Yeah. And to, quote Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Simpsons movie, I was elected to lead, not to read.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? But the problem is in the media. Right, the journalists or the so-called journalists, right? And I don't want to be on that conspiracy theory, fake news stuff because that's what people do to not address like real news. Issues, so if you have a criticism, you just call it fake. So that's not what I'm doing. But what I'm saying is, like, to run with that headline and then to ignore all the people who have had positive outcomes and continue to put content in the service. But you run with the headline instead of actually going to look at the context. So instead of reading the document, you will run with the headline. Instead of reaching out to Bethesda or Microsoft, you just run with the headline about the disc. And even with the preliminary findings, instead of actually reading the remedies, they read the first one and then said Microsoft has to sell Activision. They don't even mention remedies in their headlines. And so my thing is, the games media specifically, I'm not talking about media in general, and I'm excluding Jason Schreier and I'm excluding the people that actually do homework and things like that, and have sources and things like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But excuse me, the idea that they are not even sourcing or reading the sources of what they're running with. And
to your point, Everborn, did you see that?
Hang on. Are you a journalistic organization, or are you an arm of the marketing departments of any of these companies? And more, it feels like that's what these video game news sites are. They're just doing marketing for whatever company.
That's right.
You name it. So to me, it's just like we get into this whole big thing, and then we kind of put megaphones on these things, and then they get the clicks, and then even talking about them to admonish them still leads them to the eyeballs, which is all they wanted in the first place. Because if you're running ads on your site, no one cares if the ads don't care if you like the content. They care that your eyeballs were on the page. And they get
a little known fact. If you come on this channel and you hit the negative, you hit the down like, it's still a positive, right? The fact that you're actually just interacting with the media is good for the show, right? So I say that to say, hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We're giving you good work. Please hit that like button if you haven't done so. I appreciate you. Loke7 is sitting here going, he's a freelance writer, and he is that much better than Jason Schreier. You do you, good
My
sir.
man.
You do you for real.
But
And
my
shout
point
out
is,
to
the whole
to
point
to
is,
the infinite number for being here
if
as well.
this
Go
is
ahead,
not
man.
about, I'm getting an echo.
Yeah.
Getting an echo.
Mr. J Mack, please mute if you're not talking. We're hearing a bit of an echo.
Okay,
Please.
I think we're good. So the point is not about not reporting bad news or being in the bag.
It's about being even keeled.
The point is,
yes.
no, I don't even care about that. Whatever.
Oh.
I'm just saying, if you are going to report something, actually
report it.
Read the source. Give a link to the source, right?
Yeah.
Well,
this is why we show you
of,
on the screen what we're talking about when we talk about it, so you know where we're
what
going.
happens. This is what happens, right? This is what most people do, right?
Yeah.
And it's fine for people to do that if you're not calling yourself a journalist. But if you are going to, you have your preconceived notions, so once you read some headline, you don't vet it because specifically you like what it says.
Yeah.
That's a problem, right?
You might find yourself behind the 8 ball and not
right?
not
you
have
always
read the
see
information.
the context matters, people, when it's news they don't like.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then the same people, when it's news they do like, they don't even go past the surface level. Yep. Right?
Absolutely.
And again, these are supposed to be news organizations. So, I don't know. It all.
So I recall you also posting on Twitter that, like, when this whole thing happened, about the rivals and who had issue and who thought it would cause harm, and you actually even posted a retraction yourself, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong?
Not a retraction.
But a correction, if you will.
Yeah. So someone posted. They were saying that 3 had objections and only 1 was in favor.
Yeah.
And it was actually 2 had no objections and 1 said it was too early to say, and 3 had the objection. I just pointed out, I said that I think I said that I don't remember, but it was that one of my numbers was off, but that was just like a typo.
Sure.
It wasn't.
Understood.
So I just deleted the first one and then put the correct number.
But you know what? Like, this leads to what I really want to talk about here, right? And I will take a small detour and say, thank you guys so much for continuing to being here, rocking with us. We're heading almost
by the
to
way,
3
just
hours.
one thing.
Go ahead.
The picture that I posted of the actual source document had the correct. It's just that my words had the wrong number. So I just reposted the same thing with a link to the document. So
to the proper document. Understood.
And that's my point.
Yeah, not a problem. I do see that there's a lot of like headlines floating around contextless. So I appreciate that you're paying attention to that stuff. It's real good. But let's move forward and get to the last story, because you and I had been having some conversations in the DMs and on the phone and whatnot.
They say a lie travels around the world twice before the truth
wakes up out of bed. Yes, absolutely. So I want to have this conversation with you, and I want to hear Gerald Mack's opinion on it, because yes, all the back and forth. We're not going to spend too much time on the whole regulatory body stuff, because we are at the beginning of the end. We said that last week, and that is still the case right now. And the
next 2 weeks are crucial. Will be very crucial.
Yeah, I kind of want to dead that story as much as I possibly can until we finally get to the end, right? Because every single tug of the news is just droning on and on and on, and people are starting to lose the thread, and they're starting to disconnect from it. But Mr. EverbornSaga came up with a really good theory that he was really wanted to talk to me about, and hence the title of our episode, The Devil's Advocate. By the way, great movie. If you haven't seen it, a classic.
Awesome.
You need to watch that movie.
Awesome.
You need to watch that movie.
Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino.
Oh yeah, at the height of their powers, bro. At the height of their powers. But EverbornSaga, I found this news story here, and this is what we'll kick off with. And this was, shout out to Inside Gaming, trying to give you a thought and a perception of what Ubisoft will look like this year. And they spoke about it through E3 and what they're potentially going to show and all that. There was a what do you call it, investor meeting where Yves Guillemot came out and he accidentally said if it came on, right? And people took that story, of course, as you were talking about headlines, and went, oh, is E3 coming? Oh, what's going on right now? I need to be on my best behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I need to button myself up because, yes, Mrs. K. Asante is in the chat. Thank you, girl. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Yes.
Hey, shout out to the wifey.
What's going on? Anyways, so
Make sure you watch the intersections when you're entering the highway.
Yes. Watch intersections when you're entering the highway because Mrs. Everborn has learned that the hard way. And I'll have to shut the show down and go come save you real quick. No,
man, instantly.
So they came out here and they showed you all this stuff they're showing, and they're showing you what Ubisoft will present, right? And they even brought X Defiant back and Just Dance 2024. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah. No.
Defiant?
X Defiant. Yeah. We'll get there. Hold on. Just Dance 2024 is coming. All this stuff, and of course, all the Assassin's Creeds and this and that. And it so happened that myself and Everborn were in the DMs on Twitter talking and all this stuff. And he had a very good devil's advocate take. So EverbornSaga, please give me your take, and we'll start that ball. Come on. Uh-oh.
Oh,
You
no,
there?
I'm here.
There you go.
So, I mean, where do we start? Are we talking about the UB thing, or are we talking about
We're talking about start with where we are with ABK and what led you to UB.
Okay, so I've been speaking about this recently, and before let me give you my preamble before everybody starts crying in the chat.
There'll be some tears, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I 1000% believe that not only will, but they also should Microsoft acquire Activision. I think that in the long run, it will be good for competition. I think it will be good to drive cloud gaming as an industry, and I think it will lead to more innovation from competitors, and people seeing how much money Microsoft makes will have them invest in the medium of cloud gaming and subscription services. And I think it will spur Sony to do more competitive things, and I think it will put Xbox on a level playing field, and it will all work.
Everything that anybody says before the word
Absolutely.
"but" is not to be taken
So-
seriously. Continue.
So, but because
You said it.
because we like to think of ourselves as level-headed, and we like to make fun of the people who are the zealots and all those things. I have been just doing this thought experiment to try to, I don't want to say understand my enemy, but like understand the people that disagree with my take that I just said, that I think is a good thing. So I said to Kay, I want to do this week. I want to do a devil's advocate to see if we can try to put ourselves in the shoes of the people who don't necessarily believe this deal is a good thing for the industry.
So you see why our thumbnail is apt with the Assassin's Creed logo. Continue, sir.
So and I think it's important that we at least have these thought exercises, because if not, how are we any different than the people who are just hating because they don't like Xbox?
True,
right?
True. Yes, speak on it.
So that's the purpose of this. So get your panties out of a bunch and don't cry. But I am gonna make a case against the deal.
Put on
now.
your big boy pants.
Put on the big boy pants. take the pitchfork and bring it off screen. All of that. Go ahead.
Right, and I want people to ask questions, and we should have these actual debates, because we shouldn't just talk to people who agree with us all the time, right?
Absolutely.
That's
how
why
people
I go
get in the bubbles,
and that's how we don't see, we miss the forest for the trees. So, all right. Now, and again, shout out to Red Reddington or Hamp.
We need to get him back on the show.
He's going by this week.
Back on the show. Absolutely.
But I said this at the time. I think he's the only one thus far that has made a credible case for the deal not to go through, and his arguments are not what the regulators are making. This is why I don't agree.
That's why there's a problem. That's why there's a problem, sir. When Red Reddington's the one that's actually speaking the truth, and all the regulators are just giving BS responses and wishy-washy, big tech bad. Why is a dude on Twitter speaking with more knowledge than you guys are? Anyway, continue.
So his argument is that Microsoft, they have had a track record of things like the Aquantive purchase, or things like the Nokia purchase, or things like Windows Phone, and when they have had regulatory issues in the EU to say that with the browser ballot, right? They had to pay $1 billion a little while.
Still happens. For those who don't know,
right?
Browser ballot, when you install Windows today in any EU nation, it asks you before, like every other browser, every other OS install in America, everywhere else, Edge, you're done. You just keep it moving. Anywhere in the UK and the EU, it asks you which one do you want, and it will auto install the one for you. You can choose Chrome, and you'll never get Edge because they were forced to do so. Continue, sir.
Right. So antitrust regulators have also looked at Microsoft's practices with Azure. They're also currently right now looking at what they've done with Teams, and so. Like again, Jim dance moves, Ryan crying. He's doing his thing, and we make fun of him or not. But I want to say that anyone in his shoes would do the same thing. The fact of the matter is,
put that man on Mount Rushmore. With snitches. Let's go.
Sony cannot make a move like this. They can't spend this kind of money. So they have to fight in the only way they can, and the only way they can is by going through the regulators. They don't have an option to just say, I'm gonna spend $80 billion, right? So they can't compete for that asset. So they're again, like the stripper says in the Jamie Foxx movie, you got to use what you got to get what you want, right? So that's what's happening.
Okay,
so
continue.
Before we get too angry at them, right, and say it's not honorable what he's doing, who cares? It's business, right?
It's not about honor. That's right.
Now the next thing is Microsoft, and I know like nobody likes to hear this, right? But they are, a $1.92 trillion company, right? Umbra, can you tell me the movie I'm quoting? Because I know the movie and I've seen it like a dozen times. I just can't remember the name of it at this moment. I can do my IMDb in a minute and I'll get the name. But anyway, the point is, they talk about entering these markets as though they have like, I'm trying to figure out how to word this, right? So they need to compete. Why does Microsoft need to be number one in any given area, right? They already have a monopoly of sorts in
by the way, the
Office
movie is
software.
The Players Club, 1998.
The Players Club, yes. There you go. Thank you. They and Office software, and so when they walk into a market and they say we need to compete here, the question is why?
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah,
why? Yeah. Right? Why should you be able to? Right? Like make that
the case. Yeah, make the case for us.
Wait, what? Players Club, yes. We didn't ignore your answer, sir.
Absolutely not, homie. Come on now. We read your answer.
So anyway, so when they say they need to compete in this gaming space,
Mhm.
what about their business says they need to compete in this space? They want to,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Yeah.
So again, now when we go down this thought experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could Sony survive without PlayStation? Just looking at the
I will let you answer that,
of,
General Mac. Do you think, as a consumer, could Sony tomorrow lose PlayStation and still be right?
I don't think they. I think their name is big enough for them to continue to survive. But do I think that would like hurt them, like wound them? Yeah, absolutely. But I think their name is big enough for them to probably bounce back at some point with something, because I know their TVs stay in the news, stuff like that. So to be honest, I'm scared to believe that Sony's existence is
Tied
based
to
on the
PlayStation?
success of Sony, because Sony was here before PlayStation. So it would be like wow if they died.
But to your point, Activision was alive and kicking far before they became the COD machine. But then they realized COD is where all the money is. So now without COD, Activision isn't what Activision is anymore. You know what I'm saying? But yes, Everborn, continue.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, make a lot of sense.
Everborn? Uh-oh. Did we lose you, sir? If you're speaking, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
Give me 1 second.
Uh-oh. All right, he lost the thread. Okay, so no, like he's saying to the point that because at this point in time it is really factual to believe that without PlayStation, Sony can't have a leg up, right? They most likely would be down in the dumps. They probably would not survive. So it does help that the regulators kind of keep that in mind. Everborn, continue.
Right. So Sony does a bunch of terrible practices. And by the way, Lucius, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just trying to tell the other side of
he's trying to be the devil's advocate. Hence the name of the show, baby. Let's go.
So, so when we say,
Good point,
Sony kind of does all these tactics around using their position in the market to lock down exclusive content to their platform, and they do all of that, right? Now, do we believe that Sony could survive a generation like the Xbox One generation? Meaning they were locked out of content, right? And they could only rely on their first party. And Microsoft is in the number one place, so Microsoft starts doing those Sony tactics.
I'm not saying they would die, but they would limp. I don't think it would kill them.
Yeah, their name is so synonymous in the world that I don't think it would kill them. Will it hurt them? Absolutely, but kill them? What are they, like number 7 in most known companies worldwide, right? So, that scares me to think that they would die if they would lose PlayStation. I think they would hurt.
It'd be over. Nah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think dead. Hurt, absolutely. Yeah. Dead, no.
So here's the thing: Nintendo primarily relies on their first party and a lot of indie stuff on the platform.
Yep.
They're doing $15 billion a year in revenue, right?
They don't
put stuff on sale. Right?
And this year, this generation, Switch has gotten far more third-party support than ever. That's true.
Sure, but my point is they're not like locking content away.
No, they're definitely not doing
it and things like that.
Yeah.
So they're not relying on that. They're relying on their first party content.
That's right.
To drive people there. If Sony could only rely, because listen, the third parties are not really taking Sony's side. It's just they have the market share. That's the financial benefit to be there. So if Microsoft gained the number one position, and we saw this happen in the 360 days, all the third parties are going to want to work with them, right?
No.
So if Sony does not have their market share to rely on to make sure content comes to their platform, and they were locked out, again, are they in a place where they're doing, instead of $25 billion a year, $15 billion a year, like Xbox and Nintendo?
Yeah.
And could Sony stand to lose that $10 billion a year? Sony.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I
So-
hear you. Okay.
So, and I'm not saying this is a reason to block the deal.
Sure.
I'm saying this is
It's
a reason to look at the effects of the deal.
Yes. Absolutely. It's a reason to
Right?
look at. And even Microsoft, even if that was just lip service, even they came out from jump and saying, hey, the amount of money and the monumental nature of the deal requires scrutiny. Absolutely.
So again, the other piece of it is that I feel like Microsoft, if this deal doesn't go through or it didn't happen in the first place, I think Activision would have to make some adjustments, but they print enough money that they will be fine.
Yeah.
Now you have Ubisoft on the other hand. I think there's a real possibility of Ubisoft going away.
Like absolutely gone.
As we know it, yes.
Because they have
broken up for parts.
A lot of employees, and their games aren't making the money they used to.
Now,
bro, it's like they swimming in blood right now.
So that being said, net positive for the industry. I think it would be better for Microsoft to save Ubisoft, right, and preserve them, as opposed to Activision, which will be fine with or without, ultimately be fine with or without this deal, right? So I think like en masse, if I'm weighing the two, and that's aside from the fact that you don't have to deal with, if it was Ubisoft, you would not have to deal with this, 2-year long debacle. You wouldn't have
let
to
me
deal
pump
with
your
those.
brakes for just a moment real quick and thank Dave Ramos once again for the $2 super chat with a question asking, is it cheaper for Sony to lock out third-party content? That is an unequivocally yes.
It is,
sir. Today
yes,
anyway, because they are the market leader and they have the vast share of eyeballs, right? So getting a content deal with anybody, you pay less than Microsoft would because, hey, less eyeballs on your platform. At least that has been the prevailing reporting that has been going on. Everborn, I will say, before I hand the mic back to you, the point you just made, I forget, you just made a point that made me come up with something. Go ahead, say that again. Say your last point one more time, please.
What about them preserving Ubisoft, or them not having to deal with the whole 2-year regulatory process?
The only thing, and I will let you continue, but that 2 year, them not dealing with it, and please set me straight, chat, we're having a communication back and forth, let me know what you think. But to me, I have been and I said this to you before, Everborn, I have been so jaded by this process, right? I want to see real arguments. I want to see real, actual, hey, let's think about this. Let's go back and forth because that might actually really mean something. We're only hearing that from him, from Red Reddington on Twitter. We don't really hear that from the regulators. So it gives me the sense that the arguments that they make are wishy-washy and dumb, right? Oh, examples like high performance categories, which really don't exist. Examples like, oh, if we let this happen, Microsoft will the gaming aspect, the cloud aspect could lead to more expensive hardware, which is antithetical to the actual purpose of cloud. So all that stuff makes me go, it jades me to the point where I'm like, if they don't have this valid argument, they'll find another wishy-washy argument. So
go ahead. So here's the thing. We have every one of us in the chat and on this show, when this deal first announced, the first thought in our head was Sony is cooked. Every one of us.
It way has they gone are through your
head, and if you say that you didn't think that, I'm gonna look at you sideways because I know you're lying.
Well, but
right?
Let's be fair though. Let's be fair.
No,
we said they're cooked the way they are today because it'll force them to compete.
So the point is, we all came to that just instinctively and intuitively.
Yeah, they have to change their way now.
So why shouldn't we say that regulators should actually look at this? Will they ultimately be fine? Yes, there's things they could do to be fine. Yeah. But this is a seismic event, right? COD sucks all the oxygen out of every room. And there is a real possibility of Sony going the way of Sega, right? If Microsoft really... Listen, if Microsoft used Sony tactics, if they had Call of Duty, and they used Sony tactics between Game Pass, between the cloud, between owning Call of Duty and doing whatever they want, they could if they didn't want to be nice about it, they could destroy Sony. So why we know this, and everybody in here knows this, and we shouldn't pretend like we don't know that.
Black John
So why
in the
shouldn't
chat,
the regulators
Black John
look
in the
at it?
chat saying they'd be cooked because they heavily rely on COD. But continue, yes.
I mean, they have not focused anything on service games because these single player sad dad simulators make them a lot of money and they drive stuff to the thing. And so, but that is where we are. And it would ultimately be a bad thing if, you know, Sony went away. We don't want them to go away. Well, I mean, some of us do.
I don't want them to go away. No. Definitely not.
So my point is, if we can come to this realization without doing any research other than just being third-party observers, why shouldn't the regulators at least look at it? You know why? Yeah. Because regulators, they regulate based on the worst case scenario.
Regulators,
right?
Had to do it. I'm sorry.
That's what they have to do. They have to say, well, what is the worst that could happen, and let's try to prevent that. And I think they're going to look at it. I think they're going to come to agreements. I think the deal is going to go through, and they're going to put safeguards in place.
Yeah. My thinking is just like you just mentioned. They look at like what's the worst thing can happen, and my thinking is why don't they look at what's the best things that could happen
for gamers?
The worst things are going to happen because we created from the ether. But the best things the fact that they're giving people that you can get on your phone and almost play the same quality as you would on your big screen TV, on your laptop, all of that's good.
Yeah.
If I'm not even I'm just a regular guy. If I can see it, why can't these specialists see it? I don't. That's why I just press the buttons on the game and just play, and I don't let all of that extra stuff cloud my mind because, I don't have enough space inside my head for it because it's just insane.
I feel you,
to
brother.
Me that
I feel you.
It's so crystal clear that this is good. I mean, and of course, in the real world, for every good thing, there's a counteract where it's something bad.
One piece of the puzzle where I'll see the little ground to what Everborn is saying, and what all this is happening. During that pandemic, right? You saw Amazon like become the shop. It doesn't matter what you're shopping for. During the time when nobody could get out the house, Amazon was the beginning, middle, and end for all things to consumers by and large.
It was
right?
it was always all things for some of us.
Well, yeah, but it became all of us because you really had no other option. Because when the rubber hit the road, right, they were the only ones that had that ability to get things to your home seamlessly. So they became the only game in town, right? And the fear is, imagine they're the only game in town, right? And they're so much so the only game in town, specifically during the pandemic, that other competitors drop off because you have no choice. You ain't making any money. So now all of a sudden you're not in business anymore. And the only business in town now is Amazon. And then they go, oh, by the way, now your yearly charge is increasing. Oh, by the way, now we're taking this away. By the way, that's the fear, right? You corner the market, you make it yours, and then you start gouging. Go on, Everborn.
So here's the thing. In every instance where Microsoft has achieved dominance in a particular field, they have done some anti-competitive practices where they had to get their hands slapped.
True.
Every
time.
Happened
before.
Right?
Before, yes.
It happened with Windows. You see certain things going on with Office. You see, so again, when we just say, like, again, I trust the people in charge, but if the regulators don't, they don't. Yeah. Right,
and they have the right to look.
We have to allow. Allow room for that. Is all I'm saying.
Could some of their not trust be alluded to the fact that they don't understand? Could that
they don't
that
have
be?
So here's the problem with that, and I get it. Like, they don't understand, but their job, they don't understand any of these industries, right? When there is a Exxon buying another like gas provider or whatever, right? Oil producer or whatever. Do they understand all the ins and outs of the fossil fuel market? But they get experts, and we trust that they're going to do that. right? I'm sure they didn't understand all the ins and outs of the Hollywood business when they approved the Fox deal, right?
Right.
So it's not about them understanding it. They're going to
True.
get the people in to
get the information they need to make
right.
the right decision.
And that's really what their jobs is. So what it's incumbent upon Microsoft to make the case for it.
Yeah.
And if Microsoft can't make the case that this deal, which would put COD in Game Pass, making it cheaper for everybody, it's significant investment into the cloud, which I think will spur more investment into cloud, which will be good for all of us, I believe. I think it will put Sony on their toes. I think it will force them to make their subscription service better. I think all those things. If Microsoft can't successfully
Forbidden West
make
is going
that
into that
case,
subscription service now.
right? If Microsoft can't make that case, is that on the regulators or is that on Microsoft for not being able to make that case?
That was a great point, bro.
The devil's advocate.
No rebuttal from me.
All I want to hear now is somebody go, hooah! I'm sorry.
So this is my thing. We have to let the process play out.
Yep.
And we have to let Microsoft make the case. And I don't think it's helpful to demonize, Lena Khan or whoever else, even though
their arguments is weak sauce, though. That's the only problem.
I think their arguments are terrible, personally.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, well, hold on a minute. So Pixel, he says, is it every time though? Literally right now, they're dealing with regulators.
So let me ask the question properly.
Let
me ask the question properly. Mr. Pixelbit G still in here, still rocking with us. $5 super chat saying, is it every time though? Who is at the top dog in development and office and product tools? Yet Microsoft has gone open source in the development space. Absolutely. And they have inoculated themselves from some of those criticisms by open sourcing a lot of it.
But they're about to be forced to remove Teams from their Office 365 package because they've effectively like Slack was a new entrant into the market. They basically rebranded what they were doing with Skype for business, turned it into Teams.
Yes,
and
they're
basically
literally doing exactly what they
did
did with browsers to Teams. Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's a fair question.
Again,
it is absolutely yes.
So okay, that's the thing. So
let's go
anyway,
further.
My point is,
let's go further down the line with UB specifically. Continue.
Yes, Ubisoft specifically. So those are the reasons why I don't get mad at legitimate people who I'm not talking about the PlayStation people that just says, they don't want Xbox to win anything. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who have legitimate concerns. So that's what I wanted to give voice to, so we don't sound like frauds.
Absolutely.
Basically. Now the other thing is, like I said, I do think Activision, because they have Blizzard, because they have King, because they have the elephant in the room, COD and Warzone and all that. I think that they will bounce back if this deal doesn't go through. And Wall Street thinks the same thing. Wall Street is recommending the stock whether the deal goes through or not. Right?
Let me ask a quick question on the side on that, and you tell me your thoughts on that, and I want the chat as well. Like, what is your thoughts on the idea that we saw Activision, the whole situation with Activision bubbling and brewing, right? And at the time, they were still releasing CODs. They were still releasing Diablo was still looking very good, right? World of Warcraft was going through what World of Warcraft was going through, but it looks like they're bouncing back now. So that's a point on your side. I agree. But what's the idea? What do you think of the idea that as soon as Microsoft came in with their gold cloak and went, we're going to save them, it kind of paused all of the potential heat with the lawsuits and all the bad blood and all the employees. It paused all that in amber because it was like, okay, Microsoft is coming in. They're going to do some things. They fired a bunch of people in a proactive way. There's always there's already talk about there being the ability to unionize and all of that. So all of that kind of moved it. Exactly. It all moved it in a positive direction and froze all of the issues in place waiting for this deal to close. So what happens in a hypothetical situation where the deal does not close, right? And okay, we did what we did. We tried what we tried. It couldn't happen. And they go, is there no thought to the idea that then all those frozen and amber issues thaw out again and continue?
Well, here's the thing: they're not frozen in amber. Like several court cases have played out, and Activision has by and large won most of them.
1 month. Okay.
In fact, Activision is actually suing the state of California. Right?
For overexerting its power for all of that. Yeah. Okay,
exactly.
Yeah,
and one could argue that while they went through a rough patch in terms of the news and lawsuits and things like that, they have come back and focused on the fundamentals. And you see that they're firing their all cylinders are whatever, right? They're full steam ahead, right?
So are you, by the way, saying to Pixel Big G
COD
that we should start using Teams for our communications? And
I think they should integrate Teams into Xbox. Teams is the best.
Absolutely.
But we've seen Activision return to form with COD.
True.
People are hype about World of Warcraft
People
again.
like World
they
of
just
Warcraft
dropped
again,
Overwatch 2. Everybody's excited for Diablo 4. So
you think
they found their
if
footing
the deal
again.
goes away, they go back, they shake it off. They may have some ups and downs in the stock, but they level out and they're good.
Right, but again, Wall Street thinks the stock is undervalued even if the deal fails.
Okay.
So the stock will be fine.
We'll be fine. Okay,
right?
Continue. Yep.
So again, I think ultimately, while I do want the deal to go through, and I think it will go through, and I think it should go through, right? All those things.
Yeah.
I think if it doesn't go through, Activision will be fine.
We'll be fine. Yeah.
What is an unclear picture is what is the future of Ubisoft, because everything we hear coming out about them has not been good. And so people may say, well, why Ubisoft? Because they have so many employees. Guess what? Microsoft currently, without Activision, has 23 studios. I'm sure you could find something for those 20,000 employees to do, right? And Microsoft does hire a bunch of contract workers. How about you get away from the contract workers?
Of them already. Yeah.
Right. But how about you get rid of those contract workers and you use the people at Ubisoft? Because most of those are support studios. So how about you have this Ubisoft support studios working on the future of Halo and all these other things and helping out the other studios, and then you can now get rid of that trending division at Ubisoft where creativity goes to die.
It goes to die, absolutely.
And you can greenlight more projects. You can give them time to space out.
You now have
Assassin's
Rabbids,
Creed,
right? Which is a very good family brand that, as much as I dislike it, people seem to love it. So Rabbids would be really good in your Game Pass offerings, absolutely. Yeah, there are some sparks there. I see there are some sparks of interest there. But what about the thought? And I said this to you before when we were having this conversation. What about the thought that somebody like an Amazon would save Ubisoft because they can not only do games but they can also do movies with those properties? What do you think?
Well, let me continue down this thought process with Ubisoft. So I think if you excuse me, if you couple Ubisoft with Microsoft, and you give them the time so they're not an Assassin's Creed factory, so they can space out the Assassin's Creed releases, they can space out the Tom Clancy and the Division and the Far Cry stuff, they can greenlight high quality AA artistic projects, right? They have the funding, so they're not worried about that. Again, you get rid of that creativity board and you put all the people to work on the other things, so they're all actually making money. I think you give Ubisoft the time and the resources, and they will give you some of the greatest. They would give Sony a run for their money.
Now, in this universe
and everything else.
In this universe, do we have Yves Guillemot still running the show?
No, he's gone. He's out of it.
Okay.
So again, if they did this in lieu of Activision, there is not any argument legally. I don't care if you make up a market. They would have to make up. They'd have a monopoly in the Assassin's Creed market, right? There's no market where you have a
monopoly in historical driven spy.
There's no market they could make up. There's no publishing market. There's no top 10 that they could say. Nowhere in the world would this cause an issue, and we've seen evidence of this, right? When Microsoft bought Bethesda, they said, we don't care what you do because these games are not big enough to move the needle in one way or the other, even if we limit you to consoles. So you can tell us you're going to make it multi-platform or not. We Stephen A. Smith, we don't care, right? And so the same would hold true for Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And I think it would be good for Game Pass because Ubisoft can pump out content, right?
True, yeah.
And that content is high quality enough to keep people subscribed. And so if you think of all of Ubisoft studios and all of Ubisoft IPs joining the Xbox family on top of Bethesda and XGS and all those people you have working, you literally wouldn't even need outside parties. Like you could have a AAA title every month if you add Ubisoft to the mix for Game Pass, and you would buy them for what is it? Not even a 10th, maybe a 20th of what you're paying for Activision, and you have no regulatory issues, and you don't have any constraints of what you can make exclusive and what you can't. And again, Ubisoft gets to stay around. Activision in this world is still printing money with COD, right? And Sony would still be under pressure. If Microsoft has Ubisoft and you give Ubisoft the time, Ubisoft can make a third-person action adventure over-the-shoulder story-driven joint, right?
Absolutely.
And so they'd be able to compete. They'd be able to have high quality, high profile content and IPs on top of what they already have. It's way cheaper, and you don't have to deal with any of this nonsense with the regulators. And so I think you save Ubisoft and you let Activision go be Activision. So, and we're not even worried about this.
So I have two
I think
questions.
that would be better for the industry.
I have two questions. One, General Mack, are you convinced about, because he's devil advocating here, are you convinced? That's my question one. And for the community, answer the poll real quick. I'll let you answer the question. I put the question out there. Are you convinced? Answer one, EverbornSaga's onto something. Answer two, nah, he's smoking what J Mack is smoking. You answer that question. J Mack, are you convinced? Does he make a point? What do you think?
It makes a lot of sense. And you know, like I said, I'm a regular dude. As soon as I felt saving about $50 billion, $60 billion, that made a lot of sense to me. And that's point one.
Still money left over for Sega, which was what this is really all about.
I thought we were gonna go this whole show without that.
You wasn't gonna get away.
Continue. Go ahead. Yeah.
I thought you were safe.
Point two, the fact that Ubisoft has enough IP to practically match Activision without all of the freaking headaches that come with trying to acquire Activision. Yeah, make a lot of sense to me. So, and I'm simple, bro. I don't care about all of the hogwash. Yeah, come with it. I mean, you know, I'm selfish. Get them both.
But gamer, yeah.
You know, but in
Bring
reality,
back Sam Fisher.
Man, I'm done then, bro. I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If they can make that happen, at the end of the day, I believe that Sony kind of damaged their relationship. So you never know. Activision might go back to being Activision, and then Xbox gets the rights. So it's a lot of avenues. That shit can go anywhere. Excuse my language. That's my one. It can go a lot of different ways.
So, okay, I appreciate. So it's been an interesting topic. And look, you know, and I don't even think Everborn necessarily believes what he's saying, but it is a very good,
listen,
good
here's
thought
my
experiment.
ultimate point. Here's what my
hold
ultimate
on. Let me get some feedback here, right? We have some feedback that I want you to take in. We have Punty saying top quality. Shout out to Punty and shout out to Fonzarelli Gaming. Appreciate you, sir. We have Sycamore in the chat. Thank you for being here, good sir. He's saying, Everborn, what are you smoking, man? Clearly, he does not agree. right? And we have Lucius Augustus in here. Thank you for being here. He says, I don't agree with the underlying premise. Because the ABK deal isn't the best thing for Microsoft. Well, hold on. Just because the ABK deal isn't the best thing Microsoft could do for the industry doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I agree with that, but I don't think that's necessarily what. I don't think that's what Everborn is saying either. I think he's saying that potentially, like, for the amount of effort they're putting in and the pending result being as wishy-washy as it is, had they or if they go to UB, there'd be far more bang for their buck, and it would still end up being better for the industry in the whole because it'll keep UB around. I think that's correct me if I'm wrong.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And the ultimate point of this thought exercise is to say that we don't have to be at each other's throats. So we can take some people at face value and we can have discussions about these things without saying, I don't have to listen to anything you say because you don't agree with me.
Sure.
So I'm just saying some people have reservations about the deal, and we should consider exactly what those reservations are before just writing them off.
Because some of them are
not
actually
having
valid.
Conversations.
Yeah, some of them might actually be valid.
Listen, and you don't have to agree with them. I'm just saying
it's good to think about.
It's if you're really interested in sharpening your mind, talk to people you disagree with and try to flesh out the reason you disagree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And try to hear them out instead of saying I'm closing my ears and I only want to hear the people that say to me the things that I was already thinking, because you may be wrong, and you don't know that unless you actually go through these thought experiments.
Yeah.
And this is all I'm saying. But in my hypothetical world, because in the real world, I think Microsoft is going to get Activision and they're not going to buy anything else for a while because they don't want to deal with this again. But in my hypothetical world, you picked up Bethesda, that's your stranglehold on the States. You pick up Ubisoft, now you got Europe. You pick up Sega, now you got Japan. You put Xbox Game Studios at the center of it. You put Xbox Game Studios at the center of it, right? And this is all at a fraction of the cost of ABK. And now you have centers all around the world that know those individual markets. With Ubisoft, you could take back Europe. With Sega, you could actually, for the first time, have a meaningful presence in Japan.
And you know damn well that those detractors would go, there they go again. Microsoft not building anything, just buying things.
But who cares what they say? Right? So my point is, imagine that. Xbox is at the center and these other three tendrils are around it, right? Bethesda in the States, Ubisoft in Europe, Sega in Japan, right? And now those are your boots on the ground, all working towards the same goal of throwing stuff in the Game Pass. It's not a terrible idea. I'm telling you.
I gotta say, man,
it's way cheaper and it wouldn't cause this much trouble.
I gotta say, the man makes a valid point.
I appreciate
the devil's advocate of it. Final thoughts, J Mack. What does this do to you as a normal consumer? Imagine if either Microsoft didn't go down this route, or you hear in the next month or two, it didn't work out, but we got our eyes on UB though. How would that make you feel after hearing everything you're hearing now?
I mean, like I say, the Activision Blizzard thing is just a selfish, I want this. But what I think isn't going to matter in that deal one way or the other.
No, of course not. This is us just doing thought experiments, of course.
But
yes.
Yeah, but with the again, back to saving $60 billion.
Yep.
What are we doing again? That almost makes you forget what are we doing again? Like, oh yeah, run with that. But at the end of the day, it just makes a lot of sense. And if I heard that news, I'd be like, all right, peace pipe, crack pipe. Let's run with it.
No, I agree. I really look again. None of this will change the situation on the ground. I still wholeheartedly believe that this will go through. There will be concessions. I suspect those concessions you already know of because they've been telegraphing them things for months now.
Man,
right? They've been telegraphing what they're ready to give up for months now.
I said to somebody in the chat, like, they're like, would Microsoft sign a deal in perpetuity? And I said, it depends on the terms. Like, do you think Microsoft would care about signing something to keep
money?
No. Well, do you think Microsoft? Wait a minute.
A shallow point. Go ahead. Yeah.
let me say this. Do you think Microsoft would care if they had to sign a perpetuity contract for Minecraft?
No, of course not, because it prints
Because
money.
they plan on keeping it everywhere anyway, collecting the data and the money.
Because to the point of people going, oh my God, I can't believe they're going to put Call of Duty on competing platforms. They don't just put it on competing platforms or put it on Game Pass or something for free, like or PlayStation Plus for free. They would be continuing to collect the Sony bag to get that thing on the service. That's part of the contract. It's not like the regulators force them to put it there for free. No, they force them to make it available, and Sony will go, how much did that thing make last year? Oh, so it's going to cost us almost $500 million to put it on there, and then they may decide to or decide not to. But the fact that it's available to them, that is the minimum requirement that they need to meet, right? So, hey, man, it might not necessarily be as closed off as you think, right? And before we close out this episode, because we are ready to rock and roll with it, I must, of course, thank the man in the chat, Sycamore7 in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. And he leaves a $10 super chat. And he says, in Europe, Ubisoft wouldn't move the needle. They need EA where FIFA. That's going to move the needle. Sega would give them a foothold in Japan. Yeah, see, I agree with you, Sycamore.
But they would never make FIFA exclusive, right? They'd never do that.
No,
and
but
they're going to get that anyway. And
is,
they have the EA partnership already.
I think he's saying is the fact of having strongholds in those various markets. UB used to be the stronghold in Europe. Now they are there, but because they've whittled themselves down to the machine that just makes Assassin's Creed and a few others, they've lost their grip.
Why did they whittle themselves down to that? My point is they are the boots on the ground. Yeah. They understand all the retailers, all the marketing that you need to do in that area. They are there. They are based there. There are certain things when it comes to your go-to-market strategy that you may not have unless you are boots on the ground. And that's the thing about Sony that people don't understand. Sony is a global brand.
They got boots on the ground.
Is also a global brand. But Microsoft kind of looks at the world from an American's perspective, and you can see that with their localization strategy.
Absolutely.
But it's the same thing with the marketing, right? The marketing, they are the hiring firms that they don't know, or they are doing their own marketing that where things would go well in the States but not really go well in these local areas. And so what I'm saying, it's important to have people with history in those areas. You make. Again, right now, Ubisoft's market cap is under 2.8 billion. It's like 2.7 billion.
Less than Bethesda.
Right?
Just saying.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. 2.7 billion. You add your markup for purchase, right? Add
duplicated to that. 4 billion. Still less than Bethesda.
$4 billion is about what you could buy Ubisoft for right now versus 68.6.
Dude, and it would make Eve very happy and he'd peace out. Because that'd be double his investment.
Would the regulators, would that even be seen by the
regulators? 100 million.
It would, but again, when you consider the regulators have because they have to go by numbers. They have to find the market.
They have a threshold.
Sony was able to buy Bungie for basically what they would have to pay for Ubisoft, which is ridiculous when you think about that, right?
Think about it. One IP, one studio to the entire.
But
Ubisoft.
Again, they went through these regulators and they're like, listen, this game, this IP is not big enough to move the needle in any one direction or the other.
So here's they said
the same thing with Bethesda, and these are the same regulators right now that are saying COD is too big, that looked at Bethesda and said this is not big enough to warrant any issue, and Ubisoft would fall under that. You go back and you look at the last 10 years of the industry and what the top 10 sellers were in each jurisdiction. Ubisoft barely cracks that if they're on it at all.
Yep, absolutely.
So again, it would slide through. There'd be no phase 2.
So I hear you, and GameFire's over here saying, Tencent seems happy to do the takeover. So your thought experiment. There are others in this market that are like, hey, man, we may not be able to bite the whole thing, but we're going to little by little take pieces because they see the value.
Pause. I feel like there's a pause there. But the thing is, though, I think a Ubisoft is better under a Microsoft than
Oh,
they are
wholeheartedly,
under Tencent.
wholeheartedly.
100%.
Better stewards.
Tencent is going to basically put them in the same situation
Nickel and
they're in
dime
right
them.
now, which is yes. Hey, you have these things. They work. We're data driven. Okay, do more Assassin's
They're going to whittle
Creed,
them
do
down,
more
more
of that.
salt mines.
They're not going to
Absolutely.
say, "Hey, we have a different distribution model, so take your time
And enjoy
let's
and
greenlight
make
the more
creative
creative
stuff.
projects.
Yep,
Let's do
yep.
those things."
Right.
And so I think you unlock the creativity because Ubisoft absolutely has the talent. They're some of the best in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You unlock that creativity and get, again, the key is getting rid of that trending board that they have that kills a lot of projects.
That's still
before they
alive
see
and
the
kicking
light of
out there
day.
right now. And
That, but
And I see Loke
Ubisoft
7
has
in the chat. Like he has a point for you that's also pretty valid. FIFA is making their own game starting in 2023, so EA might need something new. They are good with the Star Wars franchise right now, and it looks like they're doing that, but they may not have that historical banger that people are so used to from them anymore because they're losing the thread little by little. Absolutely.
So ultimately, what I'm saying is the synergies from Ubisoft, I think, could drive way more value at a much higher multiple than potentially Activision could. I think with Ubi and combined with Game Pass, and again, and Bethesda, and maybe Sega, I think that ends up putting them in that $25 billion a year in the long run. So going neck and neck with Sony, and that would put the gaming division still as bigger than Windows. Again, for spending way less money and having less regulators looking at you. Because by the way, something to think about, and I don't know if I've said this live, but you're getting in bed with the devil when you sign these 10-year contracts or 15-year or whatever. Because you know why? Sony, the entire duration of whatever contract they have to sign, will try to sabotage it with the regulators. They will go to the regulators and say Microsoft is not adhering to this thing, so you have to find them or go break them up. If you slip up
even one bit,
this is even when this is over, it won't be over because Sony will try to stop it, right? Sony will try to get them in trouble with the regulators so that they can stamp them down a little bit. So everybody's like, oh, I can't wait for it to be over. It will never be over.
Yeah, there's always gonna be some back talk. Yeah, absolutely.
I could picture Sony sabotaging them to like make sure that they don't have parity, and then going to the regulators and saying, oh, well, look at this. They didn't give us parity. You gotta go.
And then of course it's up to you to explain to the regulators, nah, these guys are just being ridiculous. I hear you. Right? Absolutely.
And you get none of that with
right. Right. And you save $60 billion.
Hey,
keep talking about it.
He's just talking about the monies, man. It's like it just it's that Scrooge McDuck tank that they throw you in at the last of.
You could literally, because they're buying it for $68.7 billion, and then
after
when you add some other things to it,
scratch 70.
Right. So for that $10 billion, right? If it's $70 billion, take $10 billion. You do get Ubi and Sega with a decent markup, and got $60 billion to put back in the bank, or
invest that in whatever you want to invest that in. Yeah.
It's
all
just
right,
smart at the end of the day.
Gentlemen, I will let us call it because we are creeping into 4 hours. We're 3:30 in. We appreciate everybody here.
Wow.
I gotta be honest with you.
Wow.
I'm convinced it's a good thought experiment, Everborn. I appreciate you for bringing this to the fore. Like for real. It looks like our community may not be so convinced. I asked the question, are you convinced? And by and large, I'm about to close the poll now, and 38% says Everborn's onto something, and 62% says that he's smoking something. It is what it is.
Hey, Dave Ramos with the $2 super chat. ABK is a moment in gaming we'll talk about forever. Absolutely. Absolutely.
100%, bro. 100%.
And that's regardless of which way it goes. So
most definitely. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the bottom of this episode. I have to thank everybody for continuing to be in here. We had a great discussion. I'm sure the conversation will continue in the comments. I know, like people like sometimes I see Philly Eagles fan. I see Victor Alistine. Some of them come back later on and leave comments and really want to continue the debate, the back and forth. Y'all don't know how much I appreciate that. It's really cool. Conversations continuing, man. Let's continue those conversations as long as Twitter will keep us talking. Let's do that in the Twitter streets and in Twitter DMs as well. Mr. Gerald Mack, J Mack, he's on them Twitter streets. I'll put his Twitter in them show notes as well, so you can follow him and get some of his takes. Thank you, brother, for being here. We made it work. Technical issues aside, this is your first experience, baby. It's onward and upward. What'd you think?
Man, first of all, shout out to you and Everborn. I really appreciate you guys for giving me the opportunity. Shout out to the chat for I guess I can't hide. I'm 6'5", 300 or 250. So I can't hide when I be blowing. So I hope you're not mad. I get in.
No, you do you, man. It's good. Go
ahead.
Go ahead.
I truly appreciate you guys, man. This is one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life, bro. It's been a dream of mine, and you guys helped me come true.
We are just a bunch of brothers talking. We're in the DMs. We're on the Xbox Live.
Anytime you want to come back, you let us know when you in here.
For sure.
Don't even let us know. We just send you just hop in the chat, and we.
Right. I really appreciate it, man. This is one of the things I've always check off my bucket list.
Hey, man. Again, I will say to you, much like what Mr. Boomstick did for me, we have to pay it forward. He put me on, right? I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And what's his name? Umbra was put on, and look at Umbra. He's doing. I
want to get Sycamore on here.
Yeah, we need to get Sycamore.
Out, big dog. I appreciate it.
We need to get more. And to those of you who want to be on the show, right? Either with Cam or without Cam, you good. If you want to do it, hit me up. Let's have a conversation. Let's get you on the show, man. We're just a bunch of brothers having a conversation, coming with thought experiments, having really interesting conversations. So, Gerald Mack, we hope we see more of you on these podcast circuits, man.
Absolutely.
Get in there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
We appreciate you, sir. So we will put his information. We'll put it in the show notes when it's post live. Contact the man, communicate with the man. Let's get more eyeballs on getting him out there in the community, talking, having a conversation. This is all fun and games, and he's about it. So let's keep going, right? So any last words before you out?
Appreciate it. Just for the people who Everborn, Hogwarts, bro. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. It's sir. You're a gamer, bro. Don't deny yourself.
Not gonna do
Treat
it.
yourself.
He said not gonna do it,
bro.
Nope, not gonna do it.
All right.
What's that meme? No, sir, I don't think I will.
Hey, I can't lie. It is a powerful drug, bro. It is a powerful drug.
Exactly. Next week I will give my review on Callisto Protocol and how I compare it to Dead Space, and that would not happen if I was playing Hogwarts. So
yeah,
I'm gonna just have to take one for the team.
Understood.
Hey,
and,
YouTube.
Yep, absolutely. So EverbornSaga, thank you so much. Even through life and the issues of the day, you were able to continue to join us, brother. I appreciate you. And you made this story work better than had you not been here. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Tell the people once again where they can find you.
Well, you got it right there on the screen. You can find me everywhere at EverbornSaga. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam. But most importantly, what's on your screen right now, EverbornSaga.com. This is we make basically a hybrid of Western style and manga books, and it's an epic fantasy that I like to call X-Men meets Lord of the Rings. So if you're into anime, if you're into manga, if you're into connected universes where you got a bunch of different stories happening in the same world, and then people link up in other people's comics, that's what we make. So we got all the books. We got a bunch of books in production right now. But everything we've ever done, that's over 300 pages of content, all in color, all amazing art. You can see it right there, $50. Do not miss it. And every book that you order from EverbornSaga comes signed by me, and we handle all the shipping and all of that stuff ourselves. So check it out if you can, and get up to date. I promise you the quality is there. But before we go, I do just want to give us, again, a special shout out to everybody in the chat, because we don't do the show without you guys, and that's why I come here every week.
Salute
to
chat.
see everybody in the chat. So that's Pixelbit G, that's Umbra, that's Dave Ramos, that's Sycamore, that's Slow Mo, that's the Sonic
man,
hating
Gerald
Mr.
Mack,
Joe in the
man.
Dark.
Live supremacy.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. J Mo Money, A Rodimus, like all of you guys, man.
For sure,
like,
for sure.
You rock with us every week, and we
you have no
we
idea. Like
absolutely
some weeks we're like,
Lucius
we're
Augustus,
we're not sure we're gonna do, and then we read your comments, we read what's going on.
Splendiferous.
Yeah, y'all just energize us and get us started. Like some weeks, it's just the comments you leave on the post, the conversations we have on Twitter. Those are what drive us, and you guys continue to do so, and it's just so amazing.
Big man, Mo, Victor, Alistine.
Yeah,
all you guys.
Loke7 is asking, do you ship to Mozambique, sir?
Yes, but you have to order from Amazon.
There
So we use Amazon. Well, I ship to anywhere in the world, but then you got to pay for that shipping, and it's crazy if you order it from me.
Yeah.
So Amazon can get it to you for way cheaper, and it works with your
cheaper.
Prime subscription.
Okay.
And besides, brother,
but it doesn't come signed if you order from Amazon. That's
besides,
the only
we know where you at there, Loke7. If you need that, we could do the local order and then do that one-time shipment, because if you live in certain places, you get a one-time shipment which from your boy or something once a year, and they'll pack in all the good stuff that you don't get easily. We could do something for you, brother. Don't even worry about that. And shout out to Loke7. We will definitely have him back. Also, really, really great, well thought member of the community.
Absolutely.
Does a lot
I enjoyed
of great
that
content.
show. I enjoyed that show.
He happened to miss Everborn when he came. We got to get y'all back on the same show. It was really cool. Loke7, genius in the community with the slander. Genius in the community. Appreciate that. So yes, again, for my man, Mr. J Mack, and the slanderous one, Mr. EverbornSaga, we're saying thank you so much for being here. Thank you for
pleasure,
checking
bro.
us out.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're almost 4 hours, but we won't hit that 4 hour mark because we know Living Split Screen is still going live. So go visit them. Go subscribe, because I'm surprised they still haven't hit 1K yet. Help them with that 1K. It's about time they get there as well, and let them know we sent you. But until then, we'll see y'all next week. Continue the gaming, and try to keep the slander to a minimum, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep the slander to a minimum, all right? Till then.
No.
Man.